Hello, filter-free America listeners. Welcome back to the show. Look, I don't have time for a funny intro because this episode is long enough and it's action-packed, so let's just get to it, okay? Let me tell you about the guest. The guest is comedian Bo Gella. Comedian Bo Gella. He is just 3 years in comedy, and he recently moved to the Twin Cities area here from Wisconsin, and he's the guest, all right? He has a very interesting story to tell me about, and let me give you some details here. At the age of, I think he said 21 or 22 years of age, whatever. He was a 6'6". He's still 6'6". I don't want you to think that it's changed at all. He's still 6'6". He's a big fucking dude. Okay. At the age of 2021, he was a 6'6" aspiring pro wrestler who received an injury that was going to sideline him and delay his career for what was going to be at least a year. All right? Got that? Okay, good. So what do, right? You're an aspiring wrestler and you hurt your collarbone in such a way that you can't wrestle anymore. What do? Well, you jump on the first plane you could get a ticket for to Indonesia and teach English. Yeah, that's what he did after hurting himself and not being able to wrestle. He said, fuck it, I'm going to go to Indonesia and teach English. Don't worry, we'll explain in the podcast, okay? Now, if you don't think that sounds interesting enough for an episode of the Filter Free America podcast, you are wrong, all right? Because this episode has it all. It has prostitution, racism, Australian police impersonations, drugs, Pastafarianism, and dick punching. Yes, I said dick punching, the act of punching a dick. All those things are included in this episode about a injured pro wrestler who went to Indonesia to teach English. You don't get that on any other podcast but the Filter Free America podcast. This is the only place you can find this stuff. This is a great interview. It really was. I really enjoyed having this conversation. Real fast, let me give you some a little plug stuff for young Bo here. If you want to find him on Instagram, it's the.bogella. It's like one word. It's like his first name and last name put together. Bo Gella, right? The.bogella on Instagram. Find him on Facebook, Bo Gella. His first name is spelled B-O. His last name is Gella. Okay? And he does have a show coming up that I want to plug for him because it includes a former guest here. It's on August 10th. For those of you here in the Twin Cities area, August 10th, he will be the feature act for a friend of the podcast, our good buddy, comedian Daryl Horner. I definitely plan to have him back on soon, but there's also a great episode with him that you can find in the past episodes of the podcast here. But anyway, those two guys, I think he's recording an album at that show, right? Yeah, Daryl's recording an album, I'm pretty sure, at that show. So definitely, if you're in the Twin Cities, go support comedian Daryl Horner and today's guest, Bo Gella, and go laugh at him while he's telling his jokey jokes on CD. And that's going to be at the New Hope Cinema Grill, right in the beautiful town of New Hope, Minnesota. So that's all the plugs for that. And who else I got to mention before we get going here? Oh, yeah, a sponsor for the Filter Free America podcast right now is the Simple Website.us. Simplewebsite.us. One more time. Simplewebsite.us. And you guys know what they do, right? That's right. They build websites for you using the Squarespace website builder. I know, right? That's a weird thing, right? Because everybody thinks that you can just build them on your own with the Squarespace builder. And I'm telling you from experience, it's not always as easy as they say it is, especially for people who are limited in their computer skills like myself, right? But that's where Simple Website comes in. You give them a holler. Yeah. You give them a holler. You contact them on their website, simplewebsite.us, and you tell them, look, I don't have time. I don't have the ability. I don't have the motivation. I don't even have a computer, but I want a website. And they will build it for you. You tell them what you want. They'll slap it together, And if you like it, they're going to throw it up in the webs or however that magic stuff on the internet works. But whatever. Just go to simplewebsite.us, check them out, see what they can do for you before you attempt to build your website on Squarespace. So we need a name for this episode so we can kick it off properly here. I'm setting a record for shortest intro ever. This is great. This is an easy one to write. Okay, I'm going to call this one My Adventures in Indonesia with Bo Gella. You like that one? That's perfect. Cuts right to the meat of what we're talking about. And it's short and it's going to grab people's attention. Okay, so here we go. My Adventures in Indonesia with comedian Bo Gella right here on the Filter Free America podcast. Let's go. All right, so before we get to Indonesia, which is where we're really going to talk about, you had a reason for traveling over there. Why don't you start by telling me what was going on in your life pre Indonesia?
All right, so before Indonesia happened, I was gonna be a professional wrestler,
Nice.
right? Like I'm 6'6". I was like 250 I was in shape back then. And so like I began training, but like life happens. I ended up tearing up my shoulder.
Okay.
And so I ended up going and having to see the doctor, and the doctor's like, hey, you need to do rehab for a year. And I'm like, no. And I get home that night and my friend's like, let's move to Indonesia for a year.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, let's do it. I mean, it was it's like a drastic change, but like I was 20, 21 at the time, and you don't make like
you don't think up shit when you're in the 20s.
Yeah, you're like a year I would have been like a senior citizen by then. Like,
right. Did you think in the back of your mind before you went over there that knowing that your body composition was going to be, tremendously greater than the population in Indonesia, that you could be the best wrestler in Indonesia if you went over there?
So no, I didn't even think about anything like that. Like
Okay.
you would think that like I'd be like, okay, like what language do they speak, or like what, what's their customs and what's their religion. I just was like, okay, I can spell it.
Okay.
Like I couldn't find it. Like now I can easily help people find it on a map.
Right.
Like you go to Australia, you go to the west coast of Australia, and then you go north.
Look for a bunch of little islands out in the middle there.
And you can find it that way. But before then, I don't know how to find that.
Did you have any fears? Did you call your parents and say, hey, I'm planning on this? And they're like, no, don't do it. Was there anything out there other than, fuck it, let's get a plane ticket and go?
So my dad works for United.
Right.
And so like, I'm like, okay, well, I can't. I spent all my money on the wrestling training and I'm broke now. But he can get me a ticket for the thing.
Okay.
And so I was like, I gotta tell him, but like, he's not gonna be cool with this. And he's like, okay, have fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Was your plan to go, like, I'm just going to go over there and stay over there? Or is this like, let's do a few weeks, see what happens?
So this was a conversation that me and my friend had, was like, she's like, let's go teach English for a year. And me being like, I'm not qualified. Like I literally got like a C- in English.
Right.
My last semester. Like I can't. And she's like, no, apply. And they'll say yes. And so I applied, and within 3 weeks of me applying, I was on a plane over there.
That's crazy. Who is it? The government of Indonesia that approves the English job thing, or how does that work?
So now it's changed a little bit, but back then it was just like an after school class. So the company was English first.
Okay.
But it's kind of like what's the name of it? Like Come on.
Okay.
With their after school program where kids would be like, I need extra help in math. And the parents drive their kids to the class, and they do class for like 3 hours, like an hour and a half. And then
So were you more tutor than teacher?
I would have classes ranging from 5 students at the school I mainly taught at to like 20 students.
Okay.
But then I would have like high school classes there where I would go to like the actual high schools and middle schools, and those classes would have minimum of 36 students up to like 59.
Okay. I want to dig deeper into the teaching component and how that all went down and how that experience went. But let's first get you there. So what's your preparation for going over there? What are you packing with you? Is there any medical stuff you need to do before you get over there? What's the pregame?
So like I am not good at planning.
Okay. You're on the right podcast.
Right. And so I go to my doctor and I'm like, yeah, I got this job and I probably need to get some vaccinations. And the doctor looks at me and he goes, these had to be done like 6 months ago.
What?
And I'm like, okay, so what should I do? Right. And he looks at it and he kind of goes over the list and he goes, okay, so like it says to give you rabies shots.
What?
And I'm like, but he's like, but here's the thing with rabies vaccines is if you get those vaccines now and you get bit by a dog, we have to give you the shots again anyways. So like just don't be by animals that are foaming by the mouth.
Right.
Like malaria, those drugs, he's like do you want to chance it?
I don't know if malaria is something I want to chance, but okay.
He's like, how many people do you know over there and how many of them have malaria? It's a chance that you'll get it, but you can get treatment over there too.
Okay.
It's not like you have to bring.
Is there any advantage other than if you get the vaccination for it that you won't get it, or makes the symptoms less if you do get it?
The way the doctor made it sound was you might have a little bit extra time to like not need the extra vaccine shots with the babies.
Okay.
But like, it's still not that much time. He's like, so skip those. You don't need those.
Was there anything that you have to get, like?
No,
some weird disease unique to that part of the country.
I don't think so.
Okay.
And if we did, I didn't take care of it.
Right. Well, so if he's saying that you can or can't get them, so it's not like they get there and you got to hand them like a card that says Dr. Smith gave me shot X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Right?
No, nothing like that.
Okay.
I know in like some African countries you have to do that.
Right.
But yeah, no, we don't have that. But like their vaccines are like they're weird about vaccines.
Okay.
I
don't know if you've watched some of the conspiracy circles here, but they're kind of weird about vaccines here too. Is it the same thing? Is it
no, not like autism vaccine weird.
Okay.
But like, so I had heat rash on my arms, and if you don't know what that is, it's like you'll have like it looks like a bunch of like bumps and like pimples and stuff on your arms that like, and so I'm like, okay, I'm sick and I have my school take me to the doctor. And the doctor looks at me and he goes, you have German measles.
What?
Right? And
are these like measles that want to take over your body and the whole planet?
Right? Like, and I'm like, okay, few things. Like, I went to a public school in America. We had to get vaccinated for like measles.
Right.
Like, it's not measles. And it's not like that shouldn't be your first guess.
You're supposed to start low and work up, not go with it, not hit the home run.
Yeah. So, but then I'm telling this to my translator.
You got AIDS. Oh no, just cold. No,
yeah, right.
That's all.
and she's like, well, maybe you do have the measles. I'm like, no. Take me to a good doctor.
Right.
But she's like, no, this is the doctor we go to. I'm like, okay.
This is still stateside.
No, this is when I was over there.
Oh, when you got over there, okay.
Yeah.
So when you arrived, it was like a physical thing you had to do.
No, it was just it's the tropics over there.
Right.
Like to give you an idea,
literally through the equator it goes right.
Yeah. There. Like to give you an idea, I would wake up, if I didn't have my AC on, and my hands would be like I was in a pool for like a few hours, just like all that. I would then go grab a bottle of water, and I would drink about 1.5 liters, fill it back up, drink about half of it again, take a shower, finish that up, and then on my way to the office, I'd finish that again. So I'm doing 4.5 liters, like a gallon of water in the morning without even...
In the morning.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Like we're talking
like I try to drink a gallon a day.
Yeah.
In the morning. Holy shit.
And like when I say morning, I mean in a time of like 20 minutes.
Does it in that environment? and this is just a dummy question, is do you piss a lot still, or do you just sweat it out so much you don't even need to piss all that much water out?
You still like pee and that one.
Okay.
The only change I remember having is when I would like blow my nose, like having like snot come out, and not like and it being like a wet mucus instead of but like a solid that one, like clearing my sinuses.
Right.
And like here,
It was like booger juice versus boogers. Is that?
yeah, like yeah.
Okay. It's a scientific term I came up with.
Yeah, it's
booger juice.
Yeah.
And just so listeners, I don't remember if you said it from the beginning. You left Wisconsin, right?
Yeah.
So not a jungle climate at all.
Not a jungle climate. Very I mean, I remember having a few winters in elementary school in which we would have it -40.
Right.
I mean, and like Minnesota's the same way. It's not like a big shock, but just the location of where I'm at, we would get colder winters then.
What season was it when you arrived in Indonesia?
So they have 2 seasons.
Okay, hot and hotter.
Hot and rainy.
Okay.
But yeah, hot or like fucking hot.
Right.
This is experience okay, right?
Oh, please. We do demand our guests to swear.
So in the hot season, it would be, I don't even know what the hot temperature is, but it is just ungodly hot. But you get climatized to it.
Okay. How much time did it take you to feel acclimated?
I would say a few weeks.
Okay.
But I left Wisconsin when it was relatively hot.
Okay.
So it wasn't like a
It was like a huge shock.
Right. I think the big climate shock I had was
that could be like an 80-degree change if you went from winter to their hot season. That's
definitely. When I flew back for Christmas one year into the States, it was like the coldest winter of Chicago.
okay.
And that was just like, I hate this place. I want to go back to hot.
Okay.
This is no, I don't want to go to anybody's house.
Right.
They can come here.
Right.
I'm not going outside.
That's how it is in the wintertime most times around here too. Just do not want to leave. One other thing I want to ask about the preparation. Did you tell me how long you had planned to be over there? You thought you were going to be over there?
So the initial plan was me being there for a year.
Okay.
And then the contract's up, and then I'm like, okay, that's good, and I'd go back to the States and move on with life.
So with you're planning on a year, what did you take clothing wise or possession wise? What was in your travel?
So I brought with me a laptop.
Okay.
And then I bought a bunch of like work clothes, like professional clothes to teach in. Because I knew I wasn't going to find anything
in your size.
In my size.
No, we don't have giant size here, sir. We do not.
Like, what I would do is I'd go to the mall when I had to like buy new shoes, and I would just put my phone on the counter, and I'd be like, "Do you have this?" And they'd be like, "What size?" And I'm like, "Giant size." Like,
what size shoe do you wear?
So I wear like a 14 wide.
Okay. Oh, that's the same size as me then.
Yeah, so it's not like an.
I thought you were gonna say like 20. I was gonna be like,
no. But in Asia, they don't have those in stock ever. Like they just don't.
They just got to cut like 3 shoes apart and sew them together and make one. That's...
Eventually they would see me and they'd be like, "Which shoe do you like?" And they would order like a pair of that size for me because they know that I would go buy it.
Right.
But
I have it in stock for you. This is for the giant. This is reserve. The giant reserve. So you get over there. You got your stuff. Tell me what day one is like, other than the heat shock and all that. Is there some immediate culture shock? Is there a little bit of regret, or like, oh, did I do something wrong here?
So we are going to get to my first day in Indonesia.
Okay.
But I remember having a layover in Japan.
Right. And remind me, it's a day and a half travel time from States there?
Yeah, like a day and a half.
Okay.
So the plan is flying Chicago to Japan, Japan to Thailand, like just like kind of like a straight shot. You have like a small layover, and then like a day in Thailand.
Are you on United the whole time?
I'm on United until Thailand.
Okay.
And then I switch airlines.
Do you downgrade to prop plane versus jet plane, or is it?
No, it's like another jet. Just United doesn't fly to Indonesia.
Okay.
So you get as close as you can.
All right.
And then you get to another airline.
Gotcha.
And so, and like I don't know if we talked about like the reason why I flew United.
You said your dad.
Yeah, so my dad worked for United.
Right.
And that's why. Well, this isn't like a plug for the Friendly Skies. It was like just
United
the
is
cheapest,
not a sponsor.
It's not a sponsor. It's not. It was just the cheapest ticket I could get.
Right.
And so we landed in Japan, and I think to myself, wow, there's a lot of Asians here. Right? Like that's just not like that's how
It's a pretty safe bet.
right, like that's how culturally like aware I was at the time. Like it's like that's
that's a good point. Is this the first time you left Wisconsin?
this is the first time I've left the States.
Okay.
I've left Wisconsin.
Okay.
But like
regionally, or did you go like,
Yeah.
because like it's culture shock. If you were to leave Wisconsin and go to like my home state, Missouri, you would think you were in another country.
I've been
There's
to
a whole lot of idiots here. It's really, there's a lot of.
so before that one, I've been to like Iowa and Minnesota and Illinois, but like the white parts of those states.
Right.
So like I never really dealt with people who didn't look like me.
Right.
And so I remember that.
So again, your age was.
I was 20, I think. I was like, I'm gonna move there when I was 20. It took me like 6 months to apply.
Okay.
Because like I can do this, but you don't know what you're doing. You're scared shitless.
Right.
So you apply, and eventually you don't. I applied when I was 21.
Okay. So at this point, when you're even in Japan, when you lay over there, is it like is your only real resource like movies and things like that? Did you have any kind of working knowledge about the culture there, or how to act, or how not? Was there any of that stuff coming up at that point?
I
assume the layover, were you just in the airport?
Yeah, just in the airport for like a few hours.
Okay, so wasn't a big deal there.
Wasn't a big deal. But like, I truly believe this, that you shouldn't worry about like offending other cultures, but you should make a conscious effort to not offend them.
Right.
Or like trying to figure out like what it is. And I remember a few years later, I was at a Walmart parking lot. Not Walmart, I was inside Walmart, and a group of Jews came in.
Okay.
And I like Jewish teenagers, all that, and they had the yarmulkes on.
Okay.
Right, and I'm like, dude, what's can you explain like what the deal is that with that little hat?
You're asking the Jewish guy?
And I'm asking the Jewish guy that because I don't know, right? And one of them is really like, it's a yarmulke and you shouldn't say that and blah blah blah, and she goes off.
You were asking it as a polite, inquisitive, like hey, what's up there? Not like, what the fuck is that on your head you got there? What's that silly looking thing? It was just honest. And okay, I get that.
But he goes, yeah. So it's not a tiny hat. It's a yarmulke. But it's to symbol that God is always with us and He's always above us. So we wear it on our head to remind us that God is always with us and He's looking above, down below.
I didn't. I'm just now learning this.
Yeah, right. But like, if I would have been like, I don't want to offend them because, I'm gonna say the name of the yarmulke wrong. Like,
what's that ukulele on your head?
Yeah, like
something like that.
Yeah, like I think that if you have the mentality of, I want to know about your culture, I want to know about you, and I'm sorry if I phrase this question to offend you.
Right.
It might happen.
Be tactful.
Right.
Yeah.
And be willing to like apologize a little bit. That also helps.
Right.
But like,
because see, I'm the same way, and it's probably the reason why I do the podcast that I do is I like to learn stuff I don't know. So, but I'm the kind of the same way. But I know what you're saying. It's like there's a lot of cultural things about people that if it wasn't in this kind of setting, like an interview setting where questions are going to be coming, I would be a little like I wouldn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, and I wouldn't want to be a jerk, especially as a tall white dude with a shaved head. You don't want to come across as any kind of hateful or anything like that. It's already, defenses are up.
Right.
But I get that need.
I mean, but like in Japan, like in the airport, they're there to accommodate the customers.
Okay.
So it's not like I'm in like Tokyo, or like Tokyo proper. I'm in the airport where they are like, let's help out the English speakers. So I didn't worry about that.
Get in the dumb white guy lane.
Yeah.
This lane here if you don't know what you're doing.
Right. I do remember asking her for something was, and she's like, it's in 33, but how she said it was like smiley 3.
Okay.
And I'm like, where's smile? Like, where's smiley 3? And I'm looking for like maybe they have like a smile lane on like a frown plane, or like, I'm like, what? And I go to somebody else, and she said, they said I'm supposed to go to like Toronto smiley 3, and she's like, you mean 33? Like, okay.
Which would be cool though if we have to invent a new number to make the smiley face a digit. That would be great.
Right. Like I was totally cool.
How old
with
are you?
that.
I'm smiley 3 years old.
So we go. I do the layover in Japan. I fly to Thailand, and then in Thailand, my bank card gets eaten by the ATM.
Oh Jesus!
Right, and I don't know what to do.
Right.
Like I go from having like $1,500 on the card that I can have access to like $75.
Wow.
Right, and like no idea what I'm doing. And like now, if I'm in Thailand and $75, life is good.
Right.
Right. Like I can make it last for a while, and then I can get money later on. No big deal.
You can make it rain with $75.
Yeah. But then, no idea.
All right.
Right. You don't. I remember being terrified of not being able to leave Thailand.
Right.
Because I didn't have access to anything. And so I go to the airport with my thing, because like I have the ticket, I have my passport, it's all good. And the lady's like, we have to use the credit card you use to make the purchase. I'm like, no, you don't.
Right.
It's in an ATM machine. Like, here is my name. My name was on the card. Like, let me get on that plane. And they won't let me get on.
Holy shit.
Right. So it's like, fuck.
And you're traveling with a friend, right?
No, she went like a few months before I did.
Oh,
so
fuck.
I'm
now you're really fucked.
So now I'm by myself. And so I go back to the hotel, and I do what I think any of us would have done. I call my mom and daddy.
Damn right.
Like, I need help. Right? And so my dad's like, it's okay. Like, calm down. It's fine. We're going to send you money Western Union, and you can go pick it up the next day, and just stay at your hotel, and you'll be fine.
Okay.
And so they send me a few $100s to get the price for the ticket.
So the ticket you bought with the credit card, which was a legit ticket you already had, right?
Yeah.
That's just gone.
Gone.
Now. Okay.
But like, sometimes you just go like, well, shit happens. I can't. Like, I can't use. I know I should have been able to use that, but I couldn't. So let's figure out how to fix this problem.
Just out of curiosity, what was the price of that ticket from there?
Oh, I think it was like $100, $150, nothing.
Nothing huge.
No.
Gotcha.
But so I go to the Western Union to get the money, and I come back, and when I go to check out, the phone call to my parents and them calling me back with the confirmation information of like the Western Union
was $1,000.
Was about the same price as the airline ticket.
Holy fuck!
Right, so it's like, shit. Now what do I do? Because I can't.
Is this a scam where they just all their ATMs take the Americans' cards so they get into these financial circles where they gotta get money sent to them?
So the reason that happened is when I got the card. This is
Right.
how stupid I was at the time. I'm like, so I can use this like if I travel, right? And the guy goes, yeah, any place you see the Visa logo on the ATM, you can use it. Okay, so I didn't tell my bank I was leaving the country.
Oh, they thought
Because-
somebody was scamming you.
Right. And so they blocked the transaction.
Right.
And so like that, I mean, that's what they should do.
Right.
But like, I didn't know that.
You're supposed to let them know ahead of time.
Right. And so I'm just trying to do my PIN and put it in there and put it in. And it's like, nope,
Okay.
try again. And then after the 3 times, they're like, fuck you. We were going to keep this.
Did you try to call the card company at all? Or
But then by that time it's,
it's too late.
too
for
late.
them to
Like
do anything.
what can you do? Like they can't.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, where was it at? Oh, was that an ATM in Bangkok? Like how, I don't know. It's not like the, and then they tried to.
ATM in Bangkok sounds like a great band name too. I'm just saying. It's good.
and like, you don't know. And anytime you go to like a new city, you get lost by everything. That one, it's like, well, what ATM did you go to? I don't know. It was an ATM. Like it was
Right.
by a bank, but that's where all ATMs are. Like it's not. So I go, end up going to the embassy, and the embassy can't do shit for you. In terms of like providing lodging or anything like that. What they can do, which is very helpful, is they can give you cheap places to stay that have been like, okay, these are safe places and we don't have issues with these places. And they can get you contact to people stateside.
Okay.
And not have to be the huge thing. And so I stayed at like a cheap hotel for a few days while my dad waits for his paycheck to come in, and then he sends me the money again. And then I go and I'm on the plane to Indonesia after that one. But yeah, Thailand was
Oh, so he sent you just enough for the plane ticket, and then when you had to pay for that phone call,
yeah.
that's where okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, because like, I mean, it wasn't like like he makes good money, but at the time he had, I think, 2 kids in college,
Right.
and
He wasn't just going to drop like a G
Yeah.
in Western Union for you.
right, especially since he knew that once I got to the country, I'd be with friends and I could,
Survive until you get your card back. And all
right,
that stuff.
or I would get paid.
Gotcha. Okay, so if you finally get out of that,
So I finally get there.
all right?
And it's yeah. So we get there, and it's finally get out, and we go. I land in Indonesia, and it is very. I don't know how to describe it. It's very. When you know you don't know what to expect, it's you're not shocked by anything, right? Well, that's just what it is, and that's what it felt like. Oh, this is cool. I remember joining in the first few days there, joining a basketball team
Okay.
with
Of course you do. You're 6'6".
right.
You don't have to be good to beat those motherfuckers. Their average height is what, 5'7" over there? I might be adding.
I do a comedy joke about how I don't have any kids, but I think the average height of Indonesia is going to go up by about an inch.
Nice.
But
You single-handedly created their next USA basketball team.
that's right. But just been like, oh yeah, this is cool. Like I'm playing with like Ireland people and UK people and Australian people, and like that's cool.
Do they have like a variant of a pro league over there?
No, I wouldn't say a pro league, but just like a recreational,
Okay.
like a rec.
Because that would be fucking. Because you could be like super average at basketball and still make a huge impact at being 6'6", dude. If they had a pro team over there, you could be like the Jordan of fucking Indonesia. That would be fantastic.
But yeah. So I remember. So we get there, and the headmaster picks me up from the airport, and he goes, "Okay, you're gonna just watch the classes for a while." And what's supposed to happen is, and every other teacher had this happen to them, is they land on like on a Monday, they have like 2.5 weeks of watching classes, and then they will teach the class that they were watching for like a week and a half, and they get like the new schedule.
Okay.
So how it normally worked in the school is you'd have a schedule for 4 weeks with like your classes, and then you would switch it to another teacher, and then you would have another 4 weeks, and then go on that one. And so when you have like a new teacher, they'd watch the class for 2.5 weeks. Then they would teach the last week and a half.
Any initial impressions when you were viewing the class versus what you expected and what you got, kind of thing?
Nothing. So I remember
because my default, again, I've never left the States. My default is the movie Good Morning Vietnam, where he's teaching English to the people over there. That's what I'm thinking.
So I never saw Good Morning Vietnam.
Oh my! Get out of the studio right now.
And I know I should.
Best Robin Williams. Well, one of the best Robin Williams movies ever made.
It's on my to-do list. Like, I'm not like, oh, it's that one.
You're gonna really appreciate that movie. It's gonna be it's your story kind of.
So, a few things. One, the United States' main export is entertainment, right? With the songs and the music and movies and TV shows. So you have almost anybody who is a teenager or like a young adult, they know some English, right? And they might not know they know it, but they do. They know like what's up and all that. And so like everyone I had was like for me teaching was like a beginner or like a low intermediate.
Okay.
I had very few true beginners.
Okay.
And like when you first begin, they don't give new teachers true beginners because they're so with kids. So the two groups of true beginners you can possibly have are like 3-year-olds or like adults.
Right.
And with 3-year-olds, they're fearless. They don't care if they're wrong. They were just like, ah! And they run around and that, and you can't tell them anything because they don't understand like stop.
Okay.
Right.
That's going to be my next question when dealing with the younger students. Is it similar like how it is here, like a bunch of like asshole kids, or is there any like cultural differences as far as behavior within the classroom? Are they a little bit more polite or not?
So at my school, we had a lot of spoiled kids.
Okay.
And so they'd be like, "Mister, I want to go to the bathroom," and I'd be like, "No, but I want." I said no, but I want. I want you to stop asking that question and sit back down.
Right.
Right? Like, because I think that the native teachers or the native English speakers were the first group of people who would tell them no.
Really?
Right. Because it would be like, well, I want a snack. Like, no, it's not snack time. I want you to do stuff.
Interesting.
But like,
were you a popular teacher with the youth
students?
students?
They loved me.
Okay.
Like, I'm a giant kid.
Right.
Right? Like, I'm like, go run around. So I eventually got a deal at my main school, in which I would go teach like at a middle school. Mm-hmm. And do you remember in gym class the game like Take the Bacon?
No. I don't.
Right,
maybe we called it something else in
right,
Southern Missouri.
So what you do is you put the teams on separate sides and you count out by like, teams of numbers of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you do it all the way down this side.
Right.
And you put an item in the middle and you will shout out a number, and then the kids would run in, grab the item, and go back to the side.
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds familiar, but I don't remember. You can call it bacon.
I'm sure it's called something else. I called it steal the hamburger because I couldn't call it bacon in Indonesia because like it's mostly
Muslim culture.
Right.
Oh yeah, holy shit.
Right. And so I play that game.
Stole the falafel.
Right. And so we go to play that game, and I put like some like Aurelia, which are just like objects that you like for vocabulary building.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, do that one, and they run. And
so did they know this game? You were teaching them this game?
I taught this game.
Oh, okay, so you're bringing something new to them.
Right. And
yeah.
they're like,
okay.
They're like, oh, this is so cool. They're like, the other teachers just make us sit at our desk and do and write stuff down.
Right.
And like they're having a blast. But what happens is 2 students go at it, and one has a pair of glasses.
Oh shit.
And it smashes the glasses, and the kid has to go get stitches.
Ooh.
And I'm like, fuck.
Right.
Like, I don't want that kid to be that one. Like, it's there. And I see him a week later in class, and he goes, Mr. Terrence. And I'm like, yeah? How you doing, buddy? I'm good. But can we play that game again? Like that kid's like totally wants to play that game
Right.
again. Like he doesn't want like it was they loved that game.
God, see, being American over there's got to be, and we'll get into that more. You know, the how white people are viewed over there, but just in that dynamic, the student versus the American teacher, it's like you've got magical powers at that point because you've got all this knowledge of American culture and all these American games and things like that you can spring on these kids and just blow their fucking Indonesian minds, man. This is
I think the coolest and same time lamest story of me blowing my students' mind
okay.
is they're like, Mister, do you like rap music?
Okay.
I'm like, yeah, I like rap music. And they go, like, what's the can you rap us a song? and the only song that I could think of at the time was the theme song to Fresh Prince.
Of course.
Right? But they never heard that song.
Oh, you sounded like a fucking rap god.
Yeah, like they're like, holy shit. Right? And so like I mean, it's lame because that's the only rap song I could recite top of my head.
Right.
But like for them, I was like, oh my God, that's so cool.
Holy shit. That's amazing. You can go over there just with a catalog of rap music and just become a rap star over there.
So a little side bit on the Fresh Prince and then also like the Cosby Show.
Please.
My roommate, he's from the UK.
Okay.
And he's like
The roommate that went with you.
roommate who I met there.
Okay.
He's like, man, when I was growing up in England, I had the shows of like the Cosby Show and the Fresh Prince, and I'm like, why are the black people in England so poor? Because he's like, all the blacks in the U.S. are doctors and lawyers.
Wait a minute, buddy. Let me show you Chicago. Hold on a second.
Right, but like that's if that's all you
That's
see.
funny, yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder how much stuff that culturally or as far as the American, because you get that a lot. Like I've talked to other people who've done international travel, and like that's one of the questions I always like to ask is how is our culture perceived, and wherever you're at. And I had a MMA fighter on, and she was in Australia. I can't remember what the specific thing was, but she was equating a lot of stuff that she saw on American television stuff to that's how things really are here. So I wonder if that's an advantage or disadvantage now, considering some of the keeping up with the Kardashians and low level thinking TV that we have here.
I think I went at a relatively good time, because when I went, Bush was still president, but then we were having the election.
Okay.
And like they love Obama because he lived in Indonesia.
Right,
Like,
right. So he's like one of theirs, kind of.
Yeah. So like I remember during the election day, in the States teaching the next day over there, and my kids being on the cell phones and they being like, "What does it mean he took Wisconsin? What's a Wisconsin mister?"
We can't even get students here to follow elections that closely. That's
Right.
amazing.
Like it's that's their guy.
Holy shit.
Right. And so, if you'd be like, once he was president, you'd be like, I'm American. Obama.
So, what are like? Is there an extreme example of a misconception that they had about over here? Speaking mostly of the kids, because they're the ones that seem like the most innocent-minded.
So I lived there for about 2 years straight. I came back here, and it was during the recession.
All right.
And I'm like, I couldn't find a job. I couldn't find anything. I'm like, I'm moving back. Like I know I can just live comfortably and be good and live all like whatever. And my students being confused why I would leave America.
Right.
Because they're like, but in America, and Americans are rich and you have money. It's like, no.
Well, yeah, but no.
Yeah,
Relative.
we have more money, but we don't, I mean, and to put it in perspective is I made like $24K my best year there, but my rent was $500 for the year.
That's crazy.
So when you have that comparison, it's like, okay, like now I'm making about $45K, but my rent's like $500 a month.
Right.
So I have a lot less.
Do you know roughly offhand what the exchange rate was, either at the time, either now or what it was there? I'm sure it's very similar.
So it was about 1 million rupiah for $100.
Jesus.
But like I don't think you should ever look at like how many currencies you have. The question I always look at is like, how much can I get? How much is it going to cost me for an hour of my? How much food can I get for an hour of my time?
Yeah, that's the common comparison. How much was like a loaf of bread?
Yeah, like how
versus
much is a loaf
gallon
of bread?
gas, things like
Yeah, because I don't care what the currency rate is. I don't. It's I'm getting paid in that, and
purchasing power is what
yeah, I care about my standard of living. And I think a lot of people have the idea of like, well, the exchange rate's good, but for what? Like, I
right.
don't.
What do you get out of the deal?
Yeah.
But if your rent's only $500, I got to assume that everything else, or am I wrong? Is there some stuff over there that's outrageously expensive relative to what it is versus here, just because of accessibility or anything like that we would be surprised if we heard?
I am thinking of anything that comes to. I can't think of anything that comes to mind. But there are some stuff that you can't get, like you can't get Pop-Tarts.
Okay.
Which seems like not that big of a deal.
Right.
But we saw Pop-Tarts one time at a store and we're like, well, yes.
And what was it? Was it like a huge price on top of it? Like it's $100 box of
no, it wasn't
flavored.
It wasn't like high price.
Okay.
But it was we're not gonna see these again.
Right.
And so like it was like, okay, we can have we would ration them out.
Right. 4 of you cutting one tart, one of the 2 tarts into 4 pieces, and slowly licking the frosting off of it.
Internet being expensive.
Ah.
Right.
Okay. How good was it, and what was expensive?
Well, if you would define good as I think $13K.
Okay.
It was excellent then.
Okay. So it was like early internet here, kind of like.
Yeah. Just slow, expensive. I would pay about $100 a month for my internet connection. Okay. Which is not that bad, but it
relative
was
to what you get, I guess, for speed.
It was like 13. It was like $13K. So.
Right. How was speaking of internet? How was it as far as what you could access over there? Versus here, how free was it?
So at the time, it was extremely free. Okay. It wasn't an issue.
We talking porn, everything?
Like, yeah, if you wanted to, yeah.
Okay.
But why would you
watch porn? You're in one of the sex capitals of the world. Why would you watch porn?
Why would you watch porn when you can just go to,
Right. Especially porn that's slow. That would be like, I'm done before it even loaded up.
Right. Like, why bother in that? But that was, those were good nights.
Okay.
We lived like rock stars in the teacher's house.
Right.
Like, you just have to imagine what the neighbors are thinking. A bunch of foreigners who will come to their house at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. with a different girl each night. Right. Like each of them have a different girl with them.
Well, tell me what the price was for a high dollar, a quality prostitute that's not all AIDSy and stuff.
So like $20.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, you could. So each girl's like different on the price.
Right.
And so if you're like good looking or that one, you can like have a bit lower.
Oh, so I'm paying 40 is what you're telling me. Gotcha.
Maybe. No, but like 20 is about average.
Okay.
I've heard. Also, so my roommate, who the one who found out about doctors and lawyers and not always being the only blacks we have in the States.
Right.
He ended up marrying one of the prostitutes. And like talking to her, we find out a lot of like information about that. Like she goes like the lowest they take is like 200. Okay. Like 150, 200.
Right.
I'm sorry, like $15-20. But she could get like $800 and a night from a guy.
Really?
Yeah.
American.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or American or like British or whatever.
No. I mean, you say $800.
Yeah, American. Yeah, U.S.
Okay. So, let's dive. So we brought that up. Let's talk about the prostitution part of it and all that. First, is it? Can you tell? Because I know, as far as news stories and stuff like that, there's, the sex trade and human trafficking issues are rampant in that area. is there a different? Is there one or the other? Do you know? Can
So-
you like wink when your right eye if you're doing this by your own
You
choice?
can.
Do you something like that?
So I don't think that those girls were good enough actors to be traded there.
Okay.
Is it possible? I'm not going to say no, but like you can tell that that's
Like if I'm in Indonesia and there's a Russian prostitute, I'm like, you're probably not here by your choice.
Right.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
right. But we didn't see those.
Right.
You know, and also like I was with a girl one time, and I'm speaking to her like, well, why did you begin doing that?
Right.
And she's like, I love cock. Right.
Is that like
But-
a stage answer that she just gives to make the guy feel good?
Right. And well, like, no, because we knew this wasn't like she was a working girl, but I wasn't like a client. It was just I
okay.
knew her.
You knew
and
her.
that one. But we're talking about also like what you would make, and she's like, before this I was a cashier, and I was making like $50 a month. I can make 300 in a night. So
Is she paying any? Is there like what would be a pimp?
they
there
might
a-
have. She might have like a mama-san.
Okay.
But as far as I know, it is they keep what she would keep what she would take.
Okay.
Is it something that like is like ideal? No, but it's also not as. It's also like, I mean, you go to some places and it's like, oh man, this is, yeah, you're being trafficked. Like you're in a hotel, or like, I mean, like I have no desire to get a prostitute in the States.
Right.
Maybe Nevada.
Right.
But like, and it's not because it's illegal or anything like that, but it's because the girls who are there are not there by their own will. Right?
Right.
Where I think that in Indonesia, most of the girls, and I would say all the girls that I encountered, were there by their own will.
Okay.
Unless you like exclude they're there because they need the money. It's like, well, but even that,
That's the only reason I go to work. That's what.
right. That's the reason I go to work, and I've seen the women there turn down Johns.
Right.
Like, no, I don't want. No, I'm not going with you. And if the John has an issue with it, like you will see bouncers like, no, she said no.
And you just go to the next one. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many there. I was like,
Right.
oh, okay. Well, I'll just go
Right.
find another one of the many that are there.
Right. And so I felt like how Indonesia did it was very as safe as you can get for the women as you could without it being like sanctioned by the government.
Gotcha.
So
Let's talk about. So, is it like you go to a brothel type environment?
So you can pick them up in a few different ways. Like one, you can pick them up in like a brothel.
Do they deliver? Can you call up like
Yeah.
like Ho Hut? Can you send me a two with cheese?
So you could order them to come. Like if you knew them and you would exchange numbers,
Okay.
they'd come to your house and have fun with you.
Gotcha.
Or you would go like to like a club.
Oh, the disco, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The discotheque.
Right. Seen that on like a Vice episode or something.
And you don't know. You'll go there and you sometimes don't realize if they are or not.
Okay.
But you find out relatively like.
They don't wear like a hoe pin, like a.
No, they just dress like, not slutty,
Right.
because it's still like a relatively conservative country.
I see a lot of like classy cocktail dresses,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah. And so you go, that one, my first time going to a brothel there, I didn't know it was a brothel. And so I brought a date with me. Like I thought,
Sand to the beach. All right.
and so like, well, cause I thought that the word bordello, I confused that with a bodego. And so I asked my boss, like, what's a bodego? And he goes, it's a fancy restaurant. We're a Thai. Which, like, even then it's not. Like, even then he's still a prick.
He dressed up for me this time. This is nice.
Right? And I take her there, and I'm like, shit. And so we end up leaving. But like, just being so naive of like, well, I don't know what any of this is. I don't know how any of this stuff works out. It's just
Right. So what is in like the places that you go to, what is there a custom to it or a procedure? Is it are they lined up like meat?
So if you go
And
to
you point to the one like, I would like to purchase you, please. Or is there, what's the communication like?
So I kind of view prostitutes as like handyman, or like that one. Like you're not.
So do I.
Right. In the sense of like, you don't own them.
Right.
But like if you want your kitchen done, it's gonna cost you so much money. And maybe they'll be like, yeah, I'm not doing
Which is a
that.
great euphemism too. I would like to get my kitchen done. Wink, wink.
And I don't want, and they might be like, well, that's going to cost you like $3,000. And you'd be like, well, no, I'll only pay you $2,000. You might haggle.
It's like literally like negotiating with a contractor because they always want to charge more.
Right. And so that's what it is you kind of have to view it as not like you own them, more of like you're getting a service from them.
Is there culture there as far as in any kind of sales? Is it more of a one that respects a bartering dynamic?
Yeah.
So does that carry over to prostitution as well?
I think
like
so.
My vagina's worth $50,000. No, it's like $500 maybe.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, it is, but they don't do anything of like, here's why.
Okay.
Or just like, here's a number. And you go lower.
They don't rattle off like all the abandoned. Well, this
Yeah.
pussy's only got 5,000 miles on it, and it's really in good shape. And
I mean, to give you an idea of like the reason and logic of like their sales, this wasn't in with a prostitute, or maybe it was, but she wasn't a prostitute at this time.
right.
Me and my friend were gonna go to Blender, and we go to the store and we're like, okay, I want to get this blender, and we're like, hey, where can we find a good cheap blender? And she's like, you don't want a cheap blender. You want this fancy blender.
Okay.
And it has all these features. And we're like, okay, well, it's like 5 times what we wanted to pay, but you convinced us.
Right.
And then she's like, I'm sorry, it's out of stock.
What? She's just practicing for when they're back in stock.
And we're like, well, when does it come back in stock? We can come back tomorrow or the next day. And she goes, I don't know. Maybe in a week.
Right.
Like, and so like sometimes they go like, they'll go with what they're trained to do, like, to practice the sales pitch on that one. But she could have done that same sales pitch on like any other model.
Right.
And we would have been like, okay, you
wouldn't know one way or the other.
Yeah.
What else did I want to ask about the prostitution? Okay, what about like when you buy a prostitute over there? Do you like pre-order what you want to do? Like I would just like a little bit of blowjob and some standard pussy.
No, you just have fun.
Okay. Are you saying it's no limits? Like anything it's got a hold you can put your penis in, kind of thing, or
so like any so again, it's like having a contractor. If the contractor doesn't feel safe, or they can always pull out of the deal. Like it's not going to be that there. So like it's not like anything goes. There's still like a human being, and you still have to like respect them.
right?
But it's not like it's not like, well, I want to do it. I want to do a BJ, and I want to do the X, Y, and Z. And it's that one. It's like, no, you just have fun, and then
It's whatever goes.
whatever goes. And like if they say no, they say no, and that's.
Are they fluent in all the American euphemisms for things like BJ and? Was there any confusion there?
So, the prostitutes were pretty like fluent.
Like
on
I want
that.
to teabag you. What? Some tea? Here you go.
But I dated a girl who didn't know the phrase "I'm coming," and so
I don't know that phrase either. I just fucking something happened.
right. And so like she's giving me a blowjob, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm coming, and she goes like in English, in Indonesian, and but in English she goes, what was that, babe? And I'm like, oh shit,
Right.
and because I don't know how to describe this in Indonesian where she'd understand it. And so, like, I throw out all the possible translations that could come up. Like, I've left my office, I'm coming home, and I was there, now I'm here, and that one. And I ended up shooting my load in her mouth. And she's just like, what the fuck?
Oh, she wasn't cool with that?
Well, yeah, but she didn't know.
Right.
Like I was trying to tell her, like, hey, this is gonna happen.
So did you eventually learn the word for I'm coming in Indonesian?
Yeah, so it translates as like exiting.
Girl, I'm gonna exit all over your face. I like that. That's good.
But yeah, but like she just being like confused and angry and like, and I get it, like,
Right. Well, wouldn't you be if somebody came in your mouth?
right, and like you didn't, and they didn't tell you.
Right.
Like that's why I think you tell them so that they know what they want to do with it. Because some of them, I've been with women who love it
Right.
in their mouth,
Right.
and I have other ones who
Call
hate
those
it.
good women. The other ones hate it. Bad one.
Yeah, and so, but you have to tell them to like communicate with that.
Right.
I think that like any good sex is like good communication
Exactly.
because like,
Permission, communication.
yeah,
There we go. High five at the end. You're good. Yeah. I was gonna. So, you enjoyed multiple prostitutes, right?
a few of them, yeah,
A few of them. Did you ever do like two at one time?
yeah.
Nice. Any three? Was it two of those? Or would you set a record for like, let's get 5 of them in here?
I didn't do that one, but I know another teacher. He did a second year too, and he spent his whole flight bonus just with women one night.
So I gotta think that some people who maybe want to do the teaching job or whatever reason go over there, they go over there because like, okay, I can go there and I can fund my prostitution habit, and that's what they go over there for, and that's their thing. Did you meet people like that?
I think I worked with people like that. And I don't think that like it was a I don't think that it was that like simple.
Okay.
More of a they want to have a good time, and like in that situation where the women seem to be there on their own free will,
Right.
and they have a good time, why not?
Right.
Right. Whereas if it was like oh man, like that those women can't go home or they can't leave or they're locked in a hotel all
Right.
day and all that, or if they're making so little on that one that there's no way that they can get out of it, that's different.
Do you tip on top of the cost?
Oh, how do you think sex works?
Pretty much.
First you give them the tip.
Okay, gotcha.
So if you go to like a establishment
Right.
where you are in the like a hotel room with them,
Right.
and like the establishment, okay, this is the fee, then you would give them like a tip.
Okay. Gotcha.
So in that case, you're looking at like $20 for the room and then like a $20 tip.
Right. Is that mind blowing to them to get that? Was that a common thing for them or?
So they don't talk about money that much,
Okay.
but
You talk
relatively
about
common.
the culturally or the
Culturally.
prostitutes? Okay.
Culturally. But they always were grateful when you gave them a tip.
Okay.
But I think that if you would give them any tip, they'd be grateful.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Gotcha. I have a few more questions. What was the good experience versus a bad experience with prostitution? Was I guess as long as it happened, you got laid, it was pretty much a good experience. But was there any like, oh, I shouldn't have picked this one, or she wasn't, good, I guess sexually, or like she was laid, you know what I'm saying? Just I could have got somebody else.
So I stopped using prostitutes a lot when I began having a girlfriend.
Right.
And not because like I was like, oh, I don't want it cheap, but more of a
Would she have? Wait a minute. Would she have approved of that?
No.
Okay,
No,
so it's
no.
not like Indonesian men can like, oh, I'm just going to go down here and get some blowjob from whatever lady.
Right.
It's not like that.
Well, they can. They just don't tell the wives.
Okay, but
Right.
that's what my point was. Like,
Yeah, like it's not like acceptable, but it's
right. So it's not quite a utopia there. Yeah.
right.
Gotcha.
But like we go, but like the sex with my girlfriend was just so good that I was like, fuck, I don't need to chance it with anybody.
Right.
And then when we broke up, going with like other girls who weren't prostitutes, but just like that was some of them were just like bad sex.
Okay.
Because it was like I might have been the first like guy they were ever with,
All right.
and them being like scared or like not wanting to move around that much, and it was like,
So is that's a good question. Is that how it is? Like when they get to an adult age over there, is it most of them have very limited sexual experiences who are not prostitutes? Is that is sex a little still kind of
very taboo?
Taboo, yeah. that's
Very
what I'm looking
taboo. But I would say that they still have like sex because like sex is awesome,
for. Right.
but it's not talked about.
Really?
Like they have a phrase, married by accident, right? And it's literally like she gets knocked up and you have to get married so that it looks like they got the kids conceived on the honeymoon,
Wow.
right? Like that's the phrase. It's married by accident
Okay.
because no, you don't have sex outside of marriage.
Is an abortion a thing there?
It's not easily accessible.
Okay.
But yeah, because it's you can't banish abortion.
Right.
You can just make it unsafe.
Right. Yeah, that's what happens. So let's talk a little bit about more about the relationship part. I guess how did you meet the girl that you dated with?
So she was another teacher at my school.
Okay.
But she was an Indonesian.
Okay.
So she taught. She had about the same schedule I did.
Was she fluent in English?
Yeah, she was fluent
outside
in
of not
English.
knowing things like coming and all that. And,
Yeah.
and
Well, no,
euphemisms.
that wasn't that. That wasn't.
Oh,
that
it's
girl.
different. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. She was fluent on there. But like, I mean, to give you an idea of like the cultural setup of like the different things. She had a college degree in English literature.
Okay.
A minor in like English education. I had a high school diploma and a semester of like community college.
Okay.
And I made about 5 times what she did.
Wow. Now, why is there a reason for that other than she's here. She's going to work for whatever we give her.
So it's a combination of that's she's there and that's what she's gonna get paid and she'll take it and that's fine. But also being an American, they can put me on marketing and be like, hey, your kids can study English with an American.
Ah, okay. So it's just a perceived value, even though she may be on paper better educated and more prepared.
But also too, like, even though like she has more training, I did air quotes on a podcast,
Right.
so like that's
It worked for me and the snake thing. We saw it.
hey buddy.
She's very active tonight too, so she's impressed by you. She's checking you out.
So but like I've been speaking at that time. I've been speaking English for 19 years,
Right.
so it's like I kind of have more experience in like the English language than she does.
Right. Functional English.
Yeah. And that's what they cared about. Like the kids didn't care about like grammar, like for grammar's sake. They would care about it to know like the difference between stuff.
Right. They want to get because English for the most part is the international language of choice, for business and things like that. So I guess to them it was more like I just need to be able to be functional in the world economy.
Right. They want to be able to have a conversation, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So like one of the lessons I'd have at like the low level would be an infinitive versus an ing
Okay.
for like a now or like a habit.
Okay.
So like I eat pizza, I'm eating pizza. And then that's like, oh, that's pretty simple to understand.
I buy Indonesian prostitutes. I'm buying an Indonesian prostitute. Okay. Gotcha. The girlfriend part, the dynamic there. Is that very common for the Americans that are coming over there to work in long term? Is there a lot of those
There's a lot, yeah.
interracial relationships?
Yeah. Because like we were like handbag accessories as white people.
Really?
Of like we want like the girls would want to go out and they want to go out into the club and they'd have the Louis Vuitton bags or knockoff Louis Vuitton bags, and they'd have the white boyfriend.
Right.
And that's how they would look cool to their friends.
Really?
Yeah.
That's mind blowing that I could have that potential value over there. Is looks the same? Is body composition appreciation the same? Or can I be a sloppy fucktard dude like I am here
If
over there and still be like an Adonis type of appeal? Is there any of that?
I don't know. Like I've heard this joke on the stand up a few times, but being like a Minnesota 10 and a New York 7.
Right.
It's like being a Minnesota 5 and an Indonesian 25. Like it's
Wow.
they just well, because you're exotic,
Right.
you're rich, you're adventurous, you're willing to try stuff that like
You're from just the culture that they appreciate or they aspire to be like or want to explore.
Right.
Okay.
And so that it's very it's a
Does it work both ways with both sexes? Do any of the women that go over? I'm assuming women go over there too. Probably not the same number over there. Do they end up dating Indonesian men? And is it the same appeal?
So my friend went there and she dated an Indonesian man.
Okay.
But she said that the first 9 months was a dry spell.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that cultural overwide, or is that just I'm an Indonesian dude and I'm intimidated by this snow bunny?
Intimidation.
Okay. Interesting. Holy shit.
Because also it's a combination of like intimidation, but they don't want to be embarrassed by having a girl come up to them. Like they have to be the ones who make the first move.
That's cultural there?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so like for like guys, and so if they can't make the first move, and if she comes to them to make the first move, well, no, that's not good. I can't let that happen. That embarrasses me.
Holy shit.
So now you have.
Because I know some women over here are some fucking savages. Because they'll tell you, like modern women here in America, like, hey, I want some dick, and I'm like, okay, that kind of thing. So they just airdrop them over there. We could just change that whole fucking country's dynamic.
That's right.
Holy shit. So what was your process with the girl that you ended up dating and being serious about? Was it were you aware of that cultural thing, and did it apply in your guys' relationship? And if so, how did you approach her? Like, hey, I'm a white guy, you want me?
I just asked her out one day and she said okay, and then we began dating like immediately.
How was her response? She was like, yes.
She's like, okay.
White man, yes.
She was like surprised in that one.
Okay.
She was very timid at the beginning.
Okay.
Of like she was like didn't want to do anything. She would like
virgin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But like I think I was the first guy she kissed.
Wow.
Like that love of virgin.
See, I don't know if I'd like that. I think I want a little mileage. I think I want a little bit of.
Well,
like I really got to explain that part to you. Come on. Let's go.
Well, at the end of the time, she had plenty of mileage. But it was like that didn't bother me.
Good job.
Like that didn't bother me. Because like while she didn't know what she was doing, she was like she'd try.
Okay.
Right, and she'd figure it out. She was open to try stuff. But like very like little bit at a time. Like once she was comfortable with like kissing, we could touch other stuff and yeah.
What was her first reaction to the dick when she first saw it? Was it like seeing something like a sculpture and like a famous David or something, or what was it?
So the first time she saw my dick was I peed like in front of her.
Which is the first time any woman should ever see a man's dick is in middle of a urination.
Right. But like I'm a grower, and so like
Same.
it was just like it's tiny when it's not there. And then the first time she saw me, like, when we were both naked, she got scared. And so she punched it.
Shut up. Like when she thought it was like a snake coming at her?
Yeah, she's like, what the fuck? Rah! And she punches it. I'm like, what the fuck?
That's both aggravating and also ego building at the same time. Like, yeah, you better fight this dick off, bitch. You better get it.
Right? And I'm like, why? And she goes, I was scared. It was big.
I got to ask my girlfriend for a pass and go there. I need to get my dick punched. Just once. I want to bring it out. I was like, fucking karate chop my dick.
And I'm like, what? But like, it's supposed to get big. It's supposed to look like that. And she goes, no, because I saw you in the bathroom, and it wasn't that big.
That is a fantastic story.
And so
You gotta. You say that on stage at all? Do you talk about that? That's fucking funny.
I do.
That's fucking funny.
So with that thing, I do that on stage, but I talk about I use boxing analogies.
Almost choked on my soda water.
But yeah, so like
What boxer do you use as a metaphor for your dick? Are you?
I say that she Mike Tyson's him, and then I'm like, that's not a good analogy because she didn't put her mouth by it at all.
She might its ear up. Hilarious.
She Muhammad Ali'd my guy, but that doesn't work because she doesn't shake it vigorously. She George Foreman'd my guy, but that doesn't work because she doesn't give him a low-fat grilled chicken sandwich, right? And then I'll do either a Bobby Brown, she Bobby Brown my guy, like a Chris Brown.
Chris Brown. Okay, I was gonna say, well, you got Bobby Brown too.
Yeah, it depends on the age of the audience. If it's like older, like when I say older, like 40 plus,
right.
I'll do Bobby Brown.
Nice.
If it's younger, I'll do Chris Brown.
That is absolutely fun. So did you kind of like it? And then, like, do you think it back? You're like, that's kind of
No.
There was no like later. Hey, go and punch my dick again.
No,
you remember that one time? Remember the time you punched my dick? Kind of like that now.
No, I never liked it, but it was also like because she did it in such like a naive like.
Right.
That was her response.
Right.
Like it wasn't like a take off your pants. Bam.
If that happened to me, I would get a T-shirt made that said "My dick is so big that women punch it."
Yeah.
It's so scary, or something like that. I would advertise the fact that my dick's been punched out of fear.
Yeah, but we did it. So that was my second girlfriend I had there. Okay. But like it was. Is
that your longest relationship? The second one?
Yeah.
So, what is that like? Is enough of the fun sex stuff, but as far as a healthy relationship between a man and a woman, I don't know if it changes as you being a white man and her being a native Indonesian. Is there a different dynamic here? I got to assume there's got to be a different dynamic here. Is there different ways they carry themselves within a relationship, or different expectations for you?
So, in terms of what I've experienced, all my Indonesian girlfriends were very submissive. Okay. Were very there to please the man.
That felt natural, or like it something that was ingrained or encouraged for them to do?
It felt natural, but also ingrained. Okay. Like naturally ingrained. It wasn't like a.
It wasn't like she was fighting it. Like, okay, I've got to treat you like this fucking awesome guy, but
no. But it was a. Oh no, I want to treat you like you're like the king in that one. Okay. But. I mean, that's just what it is over there. I mean, they have pretty strong gender roles. Okay.
Does it feel like 1950s USA gender role type stuff? Is it like that?
Yeah. So my teacher, my friend, he would teach his class, and he'd be like, and his mom's a doctor, and he'd be like, my mom's a doctor, and the students would be like, Mister. You mean your father's a doctor? Because they couldn't get that his mom was a doctor.
Oh, okay. I missed what.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. He'd be like, yeah. So my mom's a doctor.
Really?
And they'd be like, Mister, no, your father's a doctor.
So is it like the occupational divides like that? Is that because they have this perception that women are unable to, or they're not supposed to?
I think that, and it's changed. And it's still, you still have women who are like, I mean, I've seen women doctors there. But it is more of expectations that the man is the breadwinner. Okay. And the woman stays at home.
Okay.
But it changes a little bit. It's
What about like political roles and leadership roles of any kind? Are women allowed to, or do they?
so Indonesia had a woman president in the I think 90s.
Okay.
And they'll have women in office and from the equivalent of their House and the Senate, from like the equivalent of like the school boards all the way up to like the presidency. They've had women in there.
Okay.
But I don't know much about their politics.
Right.
Besides, their presidents have cool names, like SBA, Joko Widodo.
Are those titles?
No, that's their names.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not something they're given once they become president or
Yeah.
high
No,
official. Okay.
it's just, yeah.
Okay. So we talked a little bit about that. Let's talk about you said there was a party lifestyle that you guys dealt heavily in, took advantage of. So aside from fun with prostitutes, what else were you doing to party and have fun there?
So two things. Like one, I'm pretty straight edge,
Okay.
but I'm also like, you do you have fun. And so like I can be around stuff and not have an issue with it. But we'll go to clubs and you would see weed, Molly, ecstasy. Molly is ecstasy, Special K, and just like in the room that you're in, and people are using it, like, hey, let's just do this one.
When you say see it in the room, is it like offered for sale? Like there's a stand that you go buy you some Coke or some whatever, or how?
So if you go to like a VIP room, it'll just be on the table to use.
Really?
Yeah.
You're making me want to leave tonight. Everything you're telling me.
But
I'll go get some.
But those VIP rooms are like you can't get in unless you pay a lot.
And what is a lot in U.S. dollars to get in?
You're looking at like at least $1,000.
Really?
Yeah.
24,000 a year, 500 for rent. Yeah, so I can get in there.
You can do it.
I can do it. Get in there 10 times and be all right. Do you get to take some with you? Can you like scrape a little bit of weed in your pocket and walk out the door? Or?
But I wouldn't.
Right.
Because like police would be outside.
Okay. So that was kind of my next question. I know it's illegal there. All drugs are illegal, right?
Yeah.
Alcohol, you said, is kind of legal now, right?
Yeah, it's legal, but just sometimes hard to get.
Hard to heavy regulated. So is that how it works then? Like once you're in the door, everything's cool. Do whatever drugs you want. Just don't walk out with the drugs, and that's just the way the cops are like, okay, yeah, stay in the room with
That's what it was.
Okay.
But like they've shut down a few of the clubs.
Okay.
And so like now I don't know. Because like before people were like, yeah, but if you shut down the clubs, people are still going to do the drugs. Mm-hmm. But now it's going to be places where it's not semi-regulated. It's going to be at a random guy's house.
Even though there's risk of, severe risk, and we'll talk about that in a second. Did you see a lot of it outside of those clubs? Were there go-to guys? Did you guys have a plug? Who was the guy or gal to go to get it and stuff like that?
We had a guy who we could use. Mm-hmm. But like I never used them. Okay. Do
you know anything about the pricing? Do you know if was it more versus, the VIP thing was free, you had to pay $1,000 to get in, was an exorbitant price to buy it from this guy on the black market?
I don't know.
Okay.
Because I don't do drugs, I don't know what the price should be.
Right.
And so like, but I remember hearing that it was relatively cheap.
Okay. Interesting. Well, so let's talk about punishment then. What do you know of, like, if you were to get caught with some weed or some coke? A couple questions. What was the punishment, and did it vary in punishment like it is here? Like you get caught with weed here, like, here's a ticket, or you get caught with some crack, then you're like going somewhere.
So you would be looking at like a minimum of prison.
Regardless.
I mean, if you have a joint, it's prison.
Really?
Right. Well, I should restate that. If you don't bribe the cop, you're looking at prison.
Really? Okay. Now we're talking. Well, what does it cost to bribe a cop for some weed or something?
Well, see, I'm a good kid, so I don't know what that would be. But to give you an idea of like what like the maximum is,
right?
My friend ran over a man in a vehicle.
Did you not start with this story? Can you get to the good stuff? What? How did you?
So
Okay, tell me the running over. We'll get back to the cop bribing. Give me the running over somebody's story.
So what happened is
this is A-roll here.
He was on on his bicycle or something like that.
Oh God! Thank God it was a bicycle. Jesus Christ!
Right? And like he cut her off, and like he slipped and fell like underneath it, and he just ran over. She like ran over his foot.
Okay, so she wasn't smashed under a car tire.
Yeah, so like he had to go have surgery, but he was fine.
Okay.
Right? But to have that go away, or in terms of the police, was like $300. And there was no record of it happening.
Really?
Right? And one of my friends, and she's her uncle is like...
well, how did they enforce that they help? Did she have to pay for the medical or anything?
That was like an all-inclusive payment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But then I asked like another Indonesian whose dad is like high up in the police force,
right.
Of like, what can I get for like whatever, and she's like, well, if you want something to go away, you're looking at like $2,000, and I'm like go away?
What do you mean?
And she's like, yeah, like dad,
like a hit,
like a hit,
like you can hire a cop to do a hit?
Yeah, for like $2,000.
I still want to go to.
You just gotta pay them more. The bouquet, you guys have a retainer.
Get the fuck out of here.
And so I don't know what it costs to like get out of a weed, bust.
It's got to be cheaper than having somebody killed for $2,000.
Right.
Jesus Christ, Indonesia's awesome. Some of these are jokes. No, maybe not that one. Holy shit. Okay. I'm learning so much. That's why I love doing these podcasts. What was I asking about before? I was asking about the bribe and all that. I got distracted by getting running over somebody.
Oh, so quick story about the bribes.
Yeah, please.
So when I bought my motorcycle,
all right.
I got it because it looked like a Harley Davidson. It was like a Chinese knockoff, but it looked like a Harley Davidson. Do you
remember what it's called?
It was like a Ruby Kaiser.
Ruby Kaiser, nice.
Right, but it looked like from like a distance, it looks like a Harley.
Yeah,
it sounded like a Harley.
It was a complete knockoff of a Harley.
It was a complete knockoff. It was like
made by probably slave labor, but I digress.
Yeah, but whatever. It was good for me, and and so I just got for that one. But I go to the mall one time, and I'm leaving the mall to go on my motorcycle. And I put my key in it, and it doesn't get in there. I'm like, what the fuck? And then a white guy comes out, and he goes, why are you on my bike? I'm like, I thought that was my bike.
Yeah, he also had a Kaiser.
Right. And so I found out that he worked for the Australian embassy. He was a Melbourne police officer who was stationed through the Australian embassy to help Australian citizens deal with crime in Jakarta.
Really?
Right. And like
crimes they got wrapped up in either on purpose or accidentally.
Right. Yeah. So like
if he was like the embassy kind of liaison for that.
Like if like an Australian gets mugged.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Right. They can go deal with help embassy, and they can help them deal with paperwork they have to do.
If you especially because you want a little bit more ethical law enforcement.
Right.
You don't want to just have the robber bribe the cop. Okay.
Plus like so Australia and Indonesia are like super close to each other.
Right, geographically.
Right. And so they're the major like tourist destinations of each other, major trading partners with each other. They want to have that good relationship.
Right.
Right. Well, I found out that the embassy gives each of those cops the same motorcycle that I had.
So it was a cop bike.
It was a cop bike. And I'm a white guy on a cop bike for Australians. And so, like, when I found that out, I had no traffic tickets.
Right.
I had no, I would just be like,
You just park anywhere you fucking want, and no one would pull you up because they're like, oh, there goes a fucking 6'6" cop.
Yep. And then I remember one time
Holy
driving,
shit.
My coworkers taking their bikes into town, and they all get pulled over by cops. And I'm behind them.
These are cops they're like, hunting for bribes, right? They're just pulling them over for something maybe they did or something they just made up that they did.
Right, most likely made up.
Trying to get a couple bucks.
But I drove up and I stopped next to him like, hey, Those guys, they're with me. And they're like, okay, go ahead.
Holy fuck, dude. So, okay, I gotta go. I gotta get some kind of job where I can make around $24,000 a year. I gotta buy a Kaiser.
And you're
If
set.
I want somebody killed, $2,000.
That's right.
I know everything so far. This is fantastic. So everything worked out, I assume. The guy, there was a misunderstanding with the Australian guy.
Yeah, no, he totally got it. Like, because like my bike was like 5 bikes down.
Okay.
Like it was very clearly like, oh,
There's no like bad boy stigma about motorcycles over there because it's the main mode transportation is either motorcycle or bicycle, right?
yeah. So like, yeah, I would say 95% people have motorcycles.
Okay.
And when I say motorcycle, like more like a kind of like a scooter type situation.
Right. Is there anything American made over there as far as vehicles or anything like that? Did you?
So they have cars.
Okay.
But like I don't think that they're like made in America, shipped over there. I think they're made in like China or like whatever.
Right.
And like the cars are common to see. Like it's very common to see like cars in the thing, but traffic is so heavy that if you would take you could. I remember my friends taking a taxi from my office downtown, and them taking about an hour, and me and my friend taking our bikes, leaving 30 minutes after them, and still being there by 10 minutes.
Jeez.
Because you can cut through, you can do the lane splitting,
Right.
and it's encouraged to lane split there.
Right.
Where like here you're not supposed to.
Is that one of those places with very minimal traffic laws as far as stop signs and stoplights? Is it, when you see the videos of cars just intersecting and all that?
So it's not that crazy.
Okay.
But pretty lax still.
Okay. Do you have any? Were you intimidated at all about driving a bike and that? I mean, I'm scared to ride a bike anymore. Here.
When I first got my bike, it took me about 7 months to get into the city, because it was my first time on a motorcycle. But then just like traffic being crazy and all that, and not knowing what you're doing, but once you get it, it's like, okay, that's fine, no big deal.
Now we kind of touched on the white people are awesome over there. Is there any reason why that is, other than that we're just associated so closely with everything that's in America, and that's why? Is there anything that's?
I think it's that. I think it's that they think we're rich and stuff like that.
Okay.
I think that like the celebrities they see are white mostly. But I don't know besides that.
Okay. Now, the next part I want to talk about is I've talked on this podcast before about somebody who's gone to that area as part of some MMA training, but racism is a thing over there.
Oh, so if you have a thing where like you get treated really well because you're white, like that's also racist. Like because, like they only treated me so good because I was white. Like that's
right.
also like,
okay. I see what you're saying.
Right. But you also have the exact opposite of if you're of color, it's not.
Is it specifically African American color, or is it Hispanic? Any other forms of color other than Asian, I assume?
The darker the skin, the rougher they're probably going to have it. And it's not. I don't think that it's from a place of like hatred, but more of not knowing,
ignorance.
Yeah, and
but like, not ignorance like South United States, like hillbilly ignorance, like I just hate those black folks. It's not like that kind of ignorance. Ignorant like it's just culturally that's
right. Like they don't know what to do that one. I think the best case is we had a teacher from the UK.
See, I was going to ask that. Was there any of the teachers you worked with of color?
Yeah.
And how was their experience different than yours?
So she's black. She's African English.
Is it doubly bad to be black and female?
I would assume so.
Okay.
But
nothing that you could.
I don't know how to quantify that.
You're too busy being awesome and white.
Yeah. and not realizing that like I'm letting people be treated bad, like
Right.
But she was gonna she watched my classes for like a few weeks, and the second day I'm like, okay, any questions for the new teacher? And one of them goes, Miss, what's it like being an N-word?
I'm assuming he didn't say N-word.
She did not say N-word.
Holy fuck.
But I'm a white guy, and I'm pretty sure I can't say that on air.
Right.
Right? And the way he said it though wasn't a thing of like he wasn't trying to be mean or racist, but it's like
It was like you and the yarmulke question, but with way less tact.
right. Because well, I mean, put it in his mind, right? He
So that's the word they use over there. There's no.
No, that's not the word they use.
Oh, okay. That was just your translation of the word. Oh, okay.
No. That's the word he used.
Oh, okay.
But they don't use that word. They don't have that word in Indonesian.
What's the N-word equivalent over there? Is there?
So Ollie Sultan has a good bit about this.
Okay.
Of the only N-word that exists is in English, because there's words for like black people.
Gosh, it's the stigma of the word.
It's the stigma. It's the history of that. And if you don't have the history behind that word,
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Anything.
You can call them anything.
Call
right?
them soup can if it's associated with the hate and the history of it. Okay.
Right. It's never about the actual word used to communicate. It's about the message you're using with that word.
Right.
Right. And so they don't have so they don't know. He doesn't know that history of that.
Right.
What he knows is he listens to the rap songs, and
course.
he's like,
course.
oh, he's with my N, and he just knows that the black people can use that, and he wants to be cool.
So does that trump the stigma over there? If it's a black athlete or a black rapper or maybe actor or something like that, do they get lifted up to an equivalent of how they perceive a white person over there?
So I want to make like it very clear that like they don't. While they have like the biases, most of them are very I think I can phrase it best like this: is if they saw like a white guy and a black guy by themselves, they're not going to yell at the black guy.
Okay.
But they're not going to want to eat with him right away.
Okay. If they had a choice.
Right, if they had a choice.
And choose the one over the other.
Yeah, they would eat with the white guy and leave the black guy alone.
Like like you want to lick the white filling out of your Oreo first.
Right.
But you're still going to eat the cookie.
Right. Or maybe you'll just throw the cookies out.
Okay.
Right. But like if you treat one group better because of them being white, you have to then treat another group not as good.
Right.
By default.
Holy
you can't
fuck.
Right? We talk, it's great being that one, but looking back.
How long were you there before that caught on, and it was that kind of like an unsettling moment? Like like I've been appreciating all this awesome whiteness.
I didn't. It didn't really click to me until
I would be embarrassed. At the very least, I would just be embarrassed. Like no, my black friend here, he's fucking cool. He's just as cool as me.
Well, hey,
I'd be trying to convince him the whole time. Like, no, he's fucking awesome.
Well, like there, I didn't have any black friends.
Right.
Not because like they're terrible people, but I just didn't have any.
They just weren't there.
They just weren't there. But I didn't realize that till I came back to the States, and like a few years later, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have been. Maybe I should have felt a little. Maybe I should have used my power to kind of help out a little more than I did.
White
right.
Okay. Holy shit! So how did the lady react when she heard that? Was she prepared for that, or was it unsettling immediately for her? What was?
She was not happy.
Right.
But she also doesn't know how to respond to that.
Right.
Because you don't. Like, there's a few questions you get as teachers that you don't know how to answer, and that's one of them. And it's like, how do you? Because it's.
See, I would have if I was teaching, I would immediately okay, this is no longer English. This is now American history, and this is why this word sucks and why you shouldn't do it, right? I mean, what I remember is her not really responding, and me being like, "That's not an acceptable word to use in class." Okay.
Like, just you can't, and we can talk about why later.
But like, okay, teacher, or was there pushback at all?
Just like, well, why? It's like, no, it's just not acceptable.
Okay.
It's like a profanity.
Right.
And I had a rule as a teacher that I'll teach you any profanity you want to know.
Right.
You just have to give me a sentence in present continuous tense properly. Like that was it. It was like, if you want me to teach you the cool stuff, you gotta demonstrate you know the basics that I'm supposed to teach you. So
work your way up to the good stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So as far as social interaction, maybe not a race component, but anything like that. Is there anything else negative out that you? I mean, the treatment or lower level of view of women to me is a negative.
So
But I mean, anything else aside that that's like, holy fuck, I don't like this.
they're judgmental on social class.
Economic
Yeah.
basis. Okay.
And so like I lived in a gated community, and outside of my gated community was like a ghetto. Like I don't want to use that term, but I can't think of a better one.
The hood.
The hood.
The hood. Okay.
Right? But like you would go you can either go like a mile around to the front gate to go like where you want to go, and then go like a mile around again to go back to the other side to go like to the pool hall or to the grocery store. Or you can grow a pair
And go through the ghetto.
and go through the ghetto and go through the hood
Right.
and never have an issue. Right? They just be like, "Hi, mister." And they would just be, speaking to you.
But also socially, they would rather make the longer trip.
Right, because they don't want to go through the poor area.
Fuck me.
Right?
Which is, I say that, which is, it's maybe not be as defined as it is here, but I grew up in the hood, so I'm very comfortable with it, and I'd rather go there. I feel a little bit more comfortable to a degree there. So, but I know white people. I have fellow white friends like, oh my God, you used to live in North Minneapolis? What was that like? So I get that kind of, I know what you're saying.
It's, I don't know the area that well, but there was a conservative who came in and he's like, in Minneapolis, those Muslim no-go zones, and they had a security force to escort them to the area.
Really?
And I was talking to this with a few comics, and they're like, yeah, we walk that area like every night. It's there's like 2 mics in that area.
Right.
It's fine to go there by yourself at night. Like it's not an issue. It's
Right.
Yeah, those Muslims, but
I would define it as, yes, there is some crime over there, and there is some, Somali gangs is a real thing.
Yeah.
But it's no different than if you go to a really bad white neighborhood and there's a bunch of white gang. It's the same type of thing. It's
Right.
all economic based. It has nothing to do with race. There may be a different language component. There may be a different nationality
Right.
component. But there's fucked up people every fucking where.
Oh, yeah.
And if you go to low income areas, by default, it's going to, that's just part of what it is. I mean, it's just, there's going to be crime there. It is what it is. It's less of a racial component than just a reality component of life.
I don't want to get too much in gangs, but there's a good book, and I think it's called The Economics of Gangs.
Okay.
And the guy gets into like why people join gangs, and like if you look at it as like an economic model, like why it makes sense.
Okay. I'm writing that down just because I've never read that book.
But he talks about how there's like a formula of like you have a reward minus punishment, and you have 2 choices. Like any choice you have 2 choices. And each choice gives you a reward and a punishment. Like that's just what it is. But with like kids, like teenagers, they lack the ability to kind of figure out what that reward's going to be and what the punishment is, and they'll overestimate the rewards and underestimate the possible punishments.
All right.
And so you have 2 choices, and like we look at it as adults, like so why did you do that? That doesn't make any sense.
All right.
But to them, it's like I could have been a big shot, and it makes sense to them. And if you look at it that way,
that's funny because I use a compare because I constantly find myself in debates like that because I've lived in so many different socioeconomic levels, that I have a degree of relatability to all of them. So whenever I hear people talk about that, when I'm like Chicago is a good go-to for some white people, like, oh yeah, see how they are in Chicago. Well, it's not that it's because of a racial component. It's because anyone put into an economic area that's that low or with that least opportunity is going to respond. I mean, historically, if we as white people were in the roles of African Americans
Right.
and we had the same experiences they had, and African Americans were in our position, we would be probably doing the exact same things or variations of the same things as far as crime and everything like that. It's position and social experience that really defines that more than race ever does, I think.
but I think I do think that like race, like you can't ignore race. Like
Right.
race is part of the problem, and not like, and this, I'm not trying to say that like, the blacks, I'm like Trump,
Right.
Like the blacks, that the blacks are any different than the white people, or like the majority of the country, but like they were blocked public housing. They were blocked many things, and so now when you go back and you look, that ended in the 60s officially, but there's still housing discrimination going on. And so if you can't get into those good neighborhoods, how can they go to a good school?
Right. Exactly.
Right? And so it is a social economic thing, but also like, I'm totally cool with, I really think that you can have the idea that you should have personal responsibility for your actions. And at the same time, say as a society, we need to do better.
Right.
And not have those be conflicting ideas. Right? I think a lot of times, like you did the podcast with the heroin addict.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, well, that's his fault. Well, I agree. It is his fault that he began doing heroin because he made those choices. But why isn't there a rehab center for him to go to if he knows he's in that bad situation?
Right.
Why do we let him get that bad? And yeah, he made that choice, but we as a society allowed him to get that bad.
I think what you're saying is maybe is accessibility of choice.
Right.
Right, because if you're like, I think that maybe that's what you were explaining with the economics of gangs. It's if choice A and choice B are both the choices available to you, but they're both bad, you're going to make one of the choices regardless.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's my social justice for your speech for this podcast.
That's good. I'm glad we got it. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, apply that now to there. Is there a dynamic like that within lower incomes of an Indonesian people? Is there within the hood area there, or is there crime relative?
There might have been.
Okay.
So one time I had I was moving stuff and I lost my wallet, and I was in the ghetto, and I'm speaking to the people that one, and we can't find it. It's lost. I'm like, shoot, I have to contact the bank. And within 45 minutes, there's a young kid, maybe in his late teens, early 20s, and he's with my wallet, and he's like, I'm sorry.
Really?
Yeah.
Everything's still in it, kind of thing?
Everything's still in it. And I'm like, it fell, right? And he goes, and he doesn't say anything. It's like, just say it fell.
Right. Oh, okay.
Right? Because if it fell and he picked it up, that's fine. He's going to be okay. And I think him being scared to shit because someone caught him, and they wanted me to see him before they beat the fuck out of him.
That's what
for
was going to
stealing.
happen?
Or they would have, yeah. Yeah. He would have been beaten the fuck out of easily.
Wow.
Because you don't steal.
Okay. Is that the minimum punishment?
Yeah.
Does it get worse than that? Is it one of the countries that
I no. He would just gotten roughed up, I think.
Okay.
Unless they got the police involved, but they wouldn't have.
Okay.
But I didn't want even him to get beat up.
No shit.
Because it's like, he's a young guy who, yeah, he should have known better. But like,
it is what it is. Yeah,
it is what it is, and I got it back, and
you can appreciate the perspective.
Right, and also the thing too is like he was remorseful about it.
Right.
Like he's like, I shouldn't have done this.
Like he's not stealing because like, oh, this is easier than working. It's because there's no fucking opportunity, or he can't get enough work, or something like that. Now, again, I don't want to make excuses. I'm sure there's some exception. I'm sure there's some fucking criminal mastermind somewhere in Indonesia doing.
I'm sure that I'm sure that there's crime in that area. Like I'm sure there's crime there, but like I didn't. Besides that, I never experienced any.
Right.
One time I went to like going through the hood. It was faster to like get to the bus station and stuff like that. And so I would take a shortcut from my house to the bus station. But one day I got lost coming back. And I'm like, hey, how do I get to, my house, that block? And they're like, oh, no, mister. It's far away. I'm like, no, I got long legs and I got time. It's fine. Like, I'm fat. I can exercise.
Right.
And they're like, no, mister. And they're like, here, sit down. We'll get you a motorcycle taxi.
Okay.
I'm like, okay.
Is that like what I'm thinking? Is do you ride bitch on the back of a motorcycle,
Yeah.
or do you ride in a sidecar? Okay.
Yeah, bitch on the motorcycle. They always love seeing me like, oh no.
Now, when I make a turn, you lean other way.
But I sit down and they like cook me some like instant noodles, like ramen noodles and stuff like that.
Right? They got ramen there too. God damn it.
Well, but they call it something else.
Oh, okay.
And they give me the meal, and like, you know, it's only like a cheap meal for like our standards, but that was like their dinner.
Right.
And because they're like, you are a lost white man, you don't belong here,
Right.
you're confused,
Right.
you're delusional, you need to eat.
They treated you like Columbus.
Yeah.
Basically what they did.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, let me feed you and before you enslave us.
Yeah, so that was I mean, yeah, that was very interesting. On there.
Well, let's talk. We're getting a little close on a time here. Muslim population. Let's talk about that dynamic and you
Yeah.
experiencing that. And I'm going to assume you didn't have a lot of exposure to Muslim people in Wisconsin. Much, right?
So again, like when I went over there, I did no research on this at all. Like, I'm like, oh, I don't know what's going on with that. All I knew about Muslims is they did 9/11. Like, and I don't like I say that now and like flippant.
Right.
But like that's all. Like I didn't know anything about them at all.
Wow. And now you're going to a country that has, I think we said close to 90% or
Yeah.
right around that.
Yeah.
The population is Muslim.
Right. And so, like, a few things that, like, if you hear that, you'd be shocked about. Like, Jakarta, the major city, is a party city.
Right.
Of, like, drugs and drinking and debauchery.
So if I go to Jakarta, is
Yeah.
what you're saying. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. But, like, you don't know that. Like, you don't know. It's hidden underground just enough that it makes the conservatives happy, but not too much where you can't find it.
Okay.
But like, so during
You were talking about like you heard a daily call to prayer,
yeah,
things like that. So there was. It's not like it's a hidden thing. But
No.
I'm sure somebody when they first hear that or they're less worldly thinking, they probably think, oh, 90% Muslim. It must be like fanatical and everything is.
So because it's more like acceptable to be Muslim there, their Muslims were like our Christians in the States, in which
They come knock on your door in the morning because
like no, not that,
Okay,
not no, not Jehovah's Witnesses.
Okay, fair
Right,
enough.
but just like they might go for their Easter equivalents,
Okay.
and they'll celebrate their major holidays, but they're sin,
Okay.
and they're not holier than thou, and they just want to be left alone, and they want to. You do you, and they do they, and they're happy.
So one of the important questions when talking about somebody who has misconceptions about countries with dominant Muslim religions, it's not like were you under any threat at all to not respect the religion? I'm sure it's socially unacceptable to say, hey, fuck you, Muslim, something like that. What was your relationship with the religion, and what were your requirements, if any?
I never had an issue of like having to say like to not badmouthing religion and stuff like that.
Right.
Like it's culturally not okay to do. Like you shouldn't do it because of cultures.
Right.
But you wouldn't have any issues then. You might have it now, because again,
People would be less apt to want to be social with you or help you out if
Yeah.
they know you're being a dick about their religion.
right. But like I asked one of my friends about this because I'm like, if you're Muslim and I'm not Muslim, and you believe that when you die, you're going to go to heaven because you're Muslim, and I'm not going to go to heaven because I'm not Muslim, why aren't you converting me?
Right.
Right? Like that, I don't get why that is. And what she said was, well, Allah's merciful, and he's not going to judge you by what you believe, but whether if you're a good person or not. Right? And so like you might not have been exposed to that. And I don't care if you have or haven't, but if you haven't been exposed to it, if he's merciful, he can't send you to hell.
Right.
Because you can't know. And I think a lot of them have that viewpoint.
Right.
But it's also you have you might have some extremists who are like, you have to be Muslim,
Right.
but it's all good.
Just like some Christians are here.
I mean, that's the analogy that I give is like there be.
And just let me acknowledge this because I can already hear listeners in my ear screaming that there are some countries that are totally different game.
Oh.
That like either you play the Muslim ball, or you're got a fucking problem. So
Right.
This is just different, unique to this particular group here,
but
or maybe not unique across the board, but you know.
I don't think that you can say that like Saudi Arabia is the way it is because it's a Muslim country.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's Saudi Arabia because it's a dictatorship who happens to be a Muslim country.
And they use that as a form of totalitarian rule.
Right. Just like there's countries that
like
are
points of Christian religion were the same way, and historically,
Right.
it wasn't just always hey, you're my brother, give me a hug. It was like, oh, you don't believe in God, let me cut you apart and separate your body, and
or you're a
break your
Catholic
spine.
and I'm a Protestant. Like
Yeah,
that's right. And so I think if you go like, well, you know, it's the religion is bad. No, I think that this is just what I think is people will use religion. Christopher Hitchens has a good quote about this one is that you can convince a bad person to do a good thing with logic.
Right.
But to convince a good person to do a bad thing, you need religion.
Right.
And I think that sometimes there will like Saudi is a dictatorship who happens to say it's covers in religion.
Right.
There's other examples too that I can't think of, but
The point is, it doesn't have to be the Muslim religion to convince people that you could use. If you're going to use a religion, you could use any religion to do that.
right. I think that what it is people tend to be good.
Right.
Regardless of religion, you have good Christians, good Muslims, good atheists, good everything. But you also have like bad people, and they will use whatever power they can to convince them to that you should fall in line.
Right. And that's kind of my take on religion in general is because it's so easily misused. Even here in Christian religions, when you look at like for-profit, huge, gigantic Christian churches, and these guys are buying fucking jet planes and they're getting all these donations, everything, and they're locking their fucking doors when flooding happens in their area. To me, that's a misuse. So, you know, I can appreciate religion. I can appreciate what it does for a person who feels they need it, right? But I don't like religion across the board because of how it's misused.
I also think too that like if you look at like in the U.S. like slavery,
Right.
you had people in the North using the Bible to be like, slavery is wrong, it's immoral, you shouldn't use it. And you have people in the South quoting the same book, the same books in the Bible, not different books in the same books, being like, no, it's ordained by God, slavery is good.
Right.
And so,
which is one of the like for my black friends and listeners, that's one of the most frustrating things when I have like a black friend who's like deep into Christian. Like, dude, do you not know the history of this? It's like, why do you? I mean, I get it. I guess whatever, you know, you need religion for whatever. I enjoy Star Wars, so I get that. But just there's so much bad history attached to every religion if you look deep enough.
right.
Funny story I want to get in before we end. You're agnostic, but that's probably something you are. Wait, not agnostic. You said you were. Did you say agnostic or?
I said, yeah, we'll go with agnostic.
Okay, because that's kind of what I consider myself. I believe in aliens, but whatever. But it wasn't like a good thing to go around bragging that you're agnostic or atheist, I guess.
Yeah, so they tell you that if you don't have religion,
Right.
just say you're Christian.
Okay.
Right, like just lie.
Right.
Right, because that's
Which is the same rule in the South.
right. Like yeah. Right, but like this was when I was younger and stupid and I didn't know better.
Right.
And so my students who are all teenagers are like, well, mister, what religion are you? And I'm like, I'm Pastafarian. Right?
Okay, and there's going to be some people who don't know what that is.
Okay, so
explain Pastafarian.
So I'll explain Pastafarian for you guys. 5,000 years ago, to the day, a flying spaghetti monster.
Whatever day, regardless of the day. 5,
Yeah, right? With his noodly appendages, created the planets and the Earth.
Right.
Right? And we can't test how old the Earth is because he's constantly shifting how old the Earth is with his appendage good at noodles. Right? It has the most it's the most popular religion because it celebrates its major holiday of Happy Holidays. It also has pasta over and Ramadan.
Forgot though.
Heaven is, I didn't tell my students this one, but heaven is a factory of strippers and a volcano of cold beer. Hell is like heaven, except the strippers have VD and the beer is flat and warm. Right? And so I tell them that, the flying spaghetti monster thing and that one.
Right.
And a week later, I get a text from my friend who went to teach there. And she goes, "Did you tell your class about Pastafarianism?"
So is it a sect of it now there? Or is there a group of Pastafarians?
I hope so.
That's fucking awesome. All of them got their driver's license and fucking spaghetti strainers and shit.
That's just... it is what it is. Like I don't feel bad about that.
No, I don't either. I think that's the perfect way to handle it. And I think that's also the perfect religion. Anything else that we need to ask? I'm going to skip over the few of the notes that we had here, but I do want to know about your shroom adventure.
Oh,
because you said you're straight edge, but you partake in shrooms,
Yeah.
which is medicine for the mind.
yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
So-
it's not drugs at all. Tell me that story.
So we fly to a city, and then we drive like 10 hours to the island, and
Now, when you're flying in these close locations, are you flying like a prop plane kind of?
like
weird?
a small commercial jet. Like
Okay.
if you fly from here to Chicago,
Okay,
like that one. But okay, so I'm a giant,
right.
right? And now I speak Indonesian pretty fluently, like
Nice.
and even during this time.
Are you still fluent now with it?
I speak really good Indonesian for an American
Okay.
and really shit up Indonesian for an Indonesian.
Oh, okay, real fast. Give me a drop here. The Filter Free America is the best podcast in the world.
Filter Free America, luar biasa di dunia.
Perfect.
I could have said anything and you'd be like, yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Just you make some fucking noises. It don't
Right.
sound like English. I'm dumb.
But I'd get on the plane and people will be like, "Oh, you're too big. Why don't you sit in the exit row?" I'm like, okay, so I would always get the exit row.
Right.
And then the flight attendant would come up to us in English and she'd be like, will you be able to do all this stuff? And I'd be like, and then I'd look there next to me in Indonesian and be like, I have no idea what she just said. and
Their eyes get gigantic.
they're like, because a white guy who doesn't speak English? What?
Right. That's hilarious.
But so anyways, we fly down there, we drive down, and we do the mushrooms, and we all took them at different times,
Right.
which was I think the best way to do it. Like we didn't plan it that way; that's just how it was.
Okay.
But I went first, and I do mine. I drink my water.
I think it's best to be the first one in that scenario. You don't want to be the last person for it to kick in because you're dealing with all these other goofballs who are all shroomed out. But yeah.
Right. And so my friends are like, and we're sitting down on the campfire and we're like talking,
Yeah.
and it's not hitting me yet. And my friend's like,
How many grams you do?
I don't know.
Okay.
Much. I did pan like a few. I don't know. I don't know.
Because you're just fucking around if you're not doing 5 grams or more. That's just my rule.
I don't know how much that would be. But so we go up to the top of the hill
Right.
where they have like a little market to buy like snacks and stuff like that. And I go up there, and a guy who was completely sober in our group goes up with me. And I buy the water, and I go turn back around, and now it hits. And those steps going up, going down are either like really tiny, tiny steps, or like cliffs. And I'm like, holy
Did you tell me this is the first time?
first time ever been doing it.
Holy shit.
And so I'm going down, and like I'm taking my time because I don't want to jump off a cliff. Right? And like I knew that it's the same size. But you also know that like your perception is off, and so you don't want to run down because you're going to misstep your foot.
Right.
But the guy's like, "Why are you taking so long? You need to exercise." But it's doing that one. I remember thinking I was an octopus. and having this conversation. I'm like, Kate, I think I'm an octopus. And her not saying anything. And I'm like, look, because I got 8 legs. Wait, octopuses don't have 8 legs. They have 8 arms. I'm not an octopus.
Partly octopus. Have you done shrooms here in the United States?
No.
Okay, because I wanted to ask you what was the difference in quality, if there was some kind of better grade over there or lesser grade over there.
I don't.
And you should really do mushrooms over here.
I'm not against it. I just don't have a desire to.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like it's, with how I live my life now, I'm pretty much like up for anything that's fun.
Okay.
And I don't need anything to kind of make me make bad choices.
Right.
And
See,
so
that's a different thing, because like you can do mushrooms and have fun with it, but to me, like mushrooms are like mental recalibration. Like I try to do it. Like that being said, it's been over 2 years since I've had a good dose of mushrooms, but I try to do it like every 6 months just to kind of get the brain all firing back right. And that's my way of saying, if anybody's listening, I need some mushrooms. But yeah, so it's a little. It's not less than a drug to me, more as of a therapy to me. But
yeah, and I'm because I've read that there's like therapeutic things to it, but I don't know.
Right.
And I'm okay with not doing it.
Right.
But like, hey, you have fun with you. Like it's totally, I don't care.
Fair enough. That's what it is.
So I don't know what it is. I know that like the weed quality was shit compared to over here, but also like
the shit's space age here now. There's like we're the capital of weed here.
Well, even 10 years ago, it was still like shit there for stuff.
Yeah.
Like you'd buy it and would have like a stem.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen a stem in like 15 years, I think.
Right. But if you haven't done it for 9 months, that's the best weed you'll have ever.
That's true. There's no bad weed. There's just weed that you have to smoke more of. That's all it is. All right. So in wrapping this up here, eventually you had to leave this paradise called Indonesia and come home.
Right.
What was there a deciding factor like of why you left and to come back for good?
So mostly it was, so when I began there, it was really easy to get a job if you were just an American. Mm-hmm. But they then changed the immigration rules a little bit to you had to be like actually qualified to teach.
God damn it.
I know.
I'm out.
And so I would still like work like illegally still. They would just have me fly out of the country and back.
Yeah.
But then a few people had like immigration issues of like being like the crackdown and the raids and stuff. Was like, I think that this is gonna be my last visa run. Okay. Like either you get me a visa or I'm out. And they didn't get me a visa. And so I was out.
Right. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
So let's talk about now and wrapping up here. What was coming back to America? Because you'd been back and forth a few times, but you'd come for a couple weeks and go back.
Yeah, just a few weeks and coming back.
What was your initial, like, you coming back, you're a month back, you're 6 months back, you're a year back?
So, hell.
Really?
Well, yeah, because you go from being a god.
Right.
And, like, being, like, so cool and doing that one to now you have stories of when you were cool, but no one believes them because they're so ridiculous. Right? Like, they're so like, well, that didn't happen.
Right.
Right? Like,
2 prostitutes for $20. Get out of here.
Well, not just that, but like, I did TV auditions when I was over there.
Right.
Like, why would anybody want you to be, and like, not like just the audition. Like, I got the callback. I was like the final 3 of like one of the TV shows over there.
Really?
Yeah, which was a weird situation on that one, and we might do that another.
Was it like a theatrical, like scripted?
No. So what happened? What happened is my friend messaged me and was like, "Hey, do you want to do a TV show?" And I'm like, "Yes, yes?" ? And like, they're looking for a white guy who speaks Indonesian, but not like fluently. I'm like, okay, well, what's the show about? And it's like, you would go to different cities, and you'd eat their food, and you'd ask them questions about how they make the food and the stuff. right?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, awesome.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, so like, what's the audition going to be? It's like, you're just going to go and you just have to cook a meal and you have to describe what you're doing. Like, okay, I can do that. I can cook a meal. I don't know how to say everything in Indonesian, but I hire like a tutor,
Right.
AKA my girlfriend.
Right.
And like, she kind of tells me what everything is and like all the motions and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I get to the studio and they're like, okay, you are going to have a conversation with this person who isn't there, who is invisible. You have to pretend he's there and have that conversation in Indonesian. And also describe what he's doing.
Right.
And I don't know if you know, like, it's difficult having a conversation in a language that's not your first to begin with.
Right.
It's really difficult having a conversation in a language you're not fluent in.
To an invisible person.
Yeah, because those pauses that you don't know how long that pause is supposed to be. Like, you don't know.
My invisible person has a stutter. I don't know. I have to wait.
And it was so bad, but I got a call back and like, yeah, let's do this again. And then we had a person on there. It came to be me and then two of my other friends, and then one of them got it. So,
Okay.
yeah, it was a good.
So close to having a TV credit as a comment. That's great.
I know.
I'm huge in Indonesia.
Well, I mean, I am huge in Indonesia.
Well, yeah, both literally and figuratively. So again, back home.
Yeah. So, but like you do that, like, oh, I almost got a TV thing. Like, no, you didn't. Like, that didn't happen. And going from like being the everyone wants to hang out with you to nobody wants to hang out with you besides like your good friends, and it's like just sad.
Right.
Also going from making ridiculous amounts of money,
Relatively speaking. Yeah.
well, you don't know what to do with it, to I don't know how I'm going to pay for food. Like, that's also shitty.
Right.
You know, I tried to open up like a real estate company to like see if I can do, but I was just so like depressed and sad. Like, it was like,
How long did it take you to get reacclimated in that social dynamic and that no longer being the awesome white guy thing? Was it a year?
Longer. Well, so two things. One, I wasn't very social before I went over there.
Okay.
And so like to go like to where I was before I left, probably like 9 months.
Okay.
But to be where I could be like sociable with like just a bunch of random people, probably like a year after that. It's like 2 years.
Okay. A good question is then when you were over there and you had this positive energy of being the awesome white guy, did that help you open up as a person who was maybe a little bit more inside yourself or a little bit more?
Yeah, so I learned a few things too of like how to deal with like people like groups.
Okay.
Like one thing I learned is, and I still have this policy now, is if there's a circle of people and I'm not getting anything out of that conversation, after like 20 seconds I will leave.
Right.
Right? Because, and I don't mean that I have to speak at all. If it's a really interesting conversation between two people, I'm okay with like listening in that one. But if it's just BS talk and I don't care about it, I will go someplace else and not feel bad about that.
Right.
Right. And I didn't realize that, but when you do that and you do that like multiple times in a night, from people on the outside, they just see you as being sociable because they see you talking to 6 different groups of people. You might not have said anything. You might have just been listening.
Right.
But when you do that, now they go, oh, he's okay with talking to random people. He's okay with being sociable. So now they can speak to me.
Okay.
Another thing is,
I think I still need to learn that, I think.
yeah. Another line that I learned, is, if I sit next to somebody who I don't know, I'll say, can I sit next to you so I can look popular? Right? And it's one of those things that like you do it because it makes them feel like, okay, well he he doesn't want to bother me. He just wants to sit here.
Right.
And it also opens with a conversation of like, if they want to speak to you, they can.
Right.
But you don't need to.
It's a good humble approach.
Right.
And it gives them a little confidence boost in the same time. That's good.
But like, it just besides those like small things, it's very. It's also like when it comes to like women and like talking to women, going from like super easy of like you can talk to anybody and they love it,
right,
to not being that easy.
Right.
It was a little bit frustrating.
Gotcha.
So
yeah, get you one of those mail order Indonesian brides shipped over here. That's what you gotta do.
Female ordered.
Female. Mail. Oh yeah, there it is. Mail. Okay. Person ordered. Outside of that social dynamic, is there any like one thing? Is it food? Is it experience? Anything that you're like, God, I wish I could go through that again?
So for food, they have like bakso, which is like this like meatball. It's like super tender, but it's very fantastic. But also they have like satay. And they will sell satays in the shopping carts, and the guy will be out there and
In the shopping carts.
yeah, like he'll have like a food stall, but like that he'll just push by himself,
Okay.
right? And he'll yell out like satay, right? To let him know you're nearby, and if you want some, you'll be like satay,
Call him back.
and you call him, and then
It's like the beer guy at the baseball games.
right, and it's like echolocation. He'll come to you.
Get the fuck out. So what is satay again? What is,
It's meat on a stick.
okay, what kind of meat?
So like
Or do
chicken,
you wanna know? Okay.
chicken, beef,
Oh, any kind of meat.
any kind of meat. So you can have like satay ayam, which is satay chicken.
Oh,
satay.
that's when you go to the Asian buffet and it's the chicken on a stick.
Yeah.
That's the cheap version of it.
Yeah, it's satay. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And it's generally with like a peanut sauce.
Okay, that's good. I'm with that.
And it's wonderful. It's delicious. But he'll be like, "How much do you want?" And I'll be like, "How much do you got?"
Right?
Because this is for tiny Asian people, and I'm a giant white man.
Right.
Like, let's get as much as we can.
I need 2 chickens worth, please.
Yeah. How much? The food, I miss the food. I miss the food. I miss most of the people.
Right.
I miss the.
Can I ask you about the food real fast? Was there like your digestive system after eating that food on a regular basis over there, which I'm going to go out on a limb and say it was a little bit healthier overall?
Yeah.
When you came back here and started eating Americanized food again and processed food, did you have any intestinal issues and things like that? Getting reaccustomed to that?
I don't remember like the stomach issues being a problem, but when I was at my last school out when I was at, I lived in a place that didn't have a shower.
Okay.
For like 2 months. They had like a little. You'd go to the bathroom and you would have a like a bathtub and you would douse water in yourself and then like, wash it that way. So I got a gym membership. And I wanted to smell nice every day, so I'd go there every day.
Right.
Like, and the women, they would be like, "You need to work out with us," and I'm like, "Okay,
All right.
all right, let's do this." But I was 250 when I left. And now I'm 370.
Okay.
So you just gain weight back in the States because it's just way more calories that you eat here.
Right. It's more calories per bite versus there, where there's
Right.
more usable nutrients probably in the foods they have there, just because they need to maximize their nutrition intake. They can't afford to.
Not just that,
Waste
but
on that.
also like size portions.
Oh yeah, that's
We have bigger portions here. And so when you have
not a lot of buffets over there in Indonesia. That's what you're saying.
yeah, but they use smaller plates.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
But like even then, if you eat have you ever been to like a fancy restaurant and you get the plate of food and you're like, where is everything?
Right.
When you get those dish sizes every time, it's pretty easy to lose weight.
Right.
Like it's just that's what it is. And then when you go to like a buffet where you have like the big thing, you still have a smaller stomach. So it was pretty easy to
Work it down.
yeah.
That and you're sweating your balls off half the fucking time too, so you're burning calories.
Yeah, that plus like besides just the gym, I was a very active teacher in
Right.
terms of like running around the classroom. Because like to me, I wanted the students to be like, this is just fun. And so,
Okay.
yeah.
Anything else? Is there anything else we missed? At least that's important to you. I don't want to leave anything out that you didn't want to share.
I think I want to end this quick story
Please.
about my first girlfriend that I had.
Okay.
There, we met at in my maid's village during the Ramadan end of the month festivities, and we meet her on the bus going there, and then I saw her in the full Muslim outfit like the next day on the way to the
Are you
mosque.
talking about burqa? Is it?
Yeah, the
okay.
burqa. Yeah, because it's like the holy day they have to go pray, and then she finishes, she changes back, and we go out. And then a few weeks later, she's at my place, and we're watching TV, and I hear the call to prayer go on. I'm like, babe, you gotta go pray. She goes, no, I don't need to pray. I'm like, yeah, I think you do, because I don't want Allah mad at you, because when he's mad at you, we don't have fun together. Like, go.
Right.
Right, like, let's just go. And she goes, no. I'm like, well, what's your religion? And she goes, when I'm with my family in Wonosobo, I am Muslim. But when I'm with you, I am Christian.
Interesting.
So, questions for the podcast listeners now. Have you ever converted a woman with your dick?
Is that what it was?
Yeah, like, it was that.
I thought you were going to convert her to Rastafarian. That's what.
Well, I'm like, well, that's not that. It's good, close enough. Like, close enough.
Right, dude. This did you? I'm going to cut you off. Is there something else?
No, I think that was it.
Dude, this was a. I always have perceptions of interviews going on. I'm like, this is going to be at least a strong B conversation, and I'm like, this is going to be good. You know, I'm going to learn about it. This was a fantastic conversation.
Sounds good.
And I really appreciate your time and being able to travel through your experiences and your memories. This is really good, man. Thank you for doing this.
All right, no problem, man.
All right. Hey, do you like that one? Was that a good one? Was it as good as I promised? Did I tell you that it was going to be action-packed and full of all kinds of crazy stuff, right? The prostitution was there. The racism was there. The Australian police impersonation was there. And even the dick punching. I promise you dick punching, and I gave you dick punching, right? I don't ever make promises about dick punching without fulfilling those promises, right? It was a crazy good story. It was exciting, fun. You could hear the enthusiasm in my voice as I'm talking with him. I'm traveling with him and his memories, and it was just a fantastic, fun conversation, and I absolutely enjoyed it. One more time, a couple reminders for Bo. Go find him on the.bogella on Instagram, BOGELLA. Of course, Bo Gella on Facebook. And don't forget to go see him and headliner comedian Daryl Horner on August 10th in the good town of New Hope, Minnesota at the Cinema Grill for Daryl's CD recording. Get to see them both perform. That is going to be awesome. You guys are awesome. Also, know what else is awesome? Simplewebsite.us. They are also awesome. Simplewebsite.us, the place to go if you want some help building a Squarespace website. All right, guys, I'm going to cut this one short because, again, the episode was content enough. And quite honestly, I've got a beautiful Asian girlfriend I want to go bang. So I'm going to get that taken care of. Take care of yourselves, guys. Make sure what are you always supposed to do? That's right. Make sure you spade and neuter your pets and children. Make sure you keep seeking the truth. The truth is out there. We know that from television. The truth is out there. You just got to seek it, right? Take care of yourselves. Take care of your loved ones. Take care of everybody that's important to you. And heck, help take care of everybody that's not important to you. Wouldn't that be great if we all just took care of each other, right? Didn't have to know each other. Didn't need to be motivated by need, desire, or some kind of something to get in return. We just took care of each other. Wouldn't that be fucking amazing? God damn it would. Tell you what, it'd fix a whole lot of shit, man. Do those things, guys. All right, man. Talk to you, man and women, or whatever else. All of you folks. I love you. I will talk to you in the next episode of Filter Free America. Bye-bye.